Well, we're taking a bow. It's the fourth day of the week, my special day, and it's always good, exciting to come your way on a Thursday morning. This is the AM show. My name is Benjamin Akakpo. Now, here's what you can expect us to serve you on the show this morning. The news, and right after that, Dr. Abu Sakara Foster, founder of the National Interest Movement, joins us for a conversation. But then we get into our big stories, and we ask, what is in a number? The governing New Patriotic Party has balloted for positions for flag-bearer aspirants. And guess what? Here's how it turned out. Kennedy Oheneye Japan, the Asin Central legislator, is number one on the ballot sheet, while Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Baumia picked the 10th position. In fact, a certain Adainimo is number 7, and we've seen all kinds of CR7, Cristiano Ronaldo 7 of the pack. But we'll be asking, like I said earlier, what is in a number? And can this affect the fortunes of any of these candidates going into that election? Well, that's on our chopping board this morning. But also on the show, we'll be engaging the Chief Executive Officer of the Youth Employment Agency, Kofi Japan. Our conversation will largely center on how the YEA is working to curb youth unemployment, but also expand into other issues of national scope. I'll be on that beat. But here's a new one, a special one if you like, first in history in some 71 years. The Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology has elected its first female president of the Students' Representative Council in the school's 71 years of existence. Now, what does this mean as they've opted for Yvonne Osei Adobia, making history after winning the election against 5 other contestants? She polled 8,282 votes. We'll be telling you a bit more about that later on the show. We'd love to hear from you. Shoot us a message. Let's do this for God and country. We'll be right back. Well, let's get into our news belt now. Thank you for staying. And in our first story, an easy calm has returned to WAC Technical Institute in the Upper West region after a final year student was alleged to have assaulted a housemaster, injuring him in the right eye. Yusuf Mudashir was said to have been improperly dressed and was asked by the housemaster to go and change his attire, and at order, he refused. Rafiq Salam now reports that this resulted in a fracas with the student picking a stone nearby and hitting the right eye of the housemaster.
War Technical Institute, one of few second cycle institutions in the Upper West region that usually hawk headlines for the wrong reasons. There at it again. A final year student of the institute, Yusuf Mudassir, is alleged to have assaulted housemaster of the Bala House, Ismail Musa Furko, injuring him on the right eye.
I approached him and then asked him to go and change and be like a normal student. That was all that transpired. And he agreed to go in and change. After entering the yard, he was resistant to do what I asked him to do. So I just held the shirt and asked him to hurry and don't waste my time here. And all that came from his mouth was, Master, what do I do? I don't like it. I said, what did I do? I only asked you to go and change the improper and wear your uniform. That's all. Then we're walking on the pavement blocks. Then he went down the unpaved floor. I never knew that was his intention. So all that I could realize was he just bent down and got up and used a stone and hit me.
How did you feel when you hit you?
I feel pain, and blood was oozing from my right ear and my nose too. The blood was also coming from my nose. So that was how we picked him from that place and sent him to the master in charge of discipline.
So this student, have you forgiven him?
Actually, why not? I'll claim to go.
So you don't want anything to happen to him?
Oh, no. Nothing actually.
Principal of the college, Saka Adams, disclosed that his alleged accomplice and bosom friend was also arrested for allegedly using a pair of scissors to injure a colleague student. The duo are currently sick at the Ward police cells pending investigations, while the housemaster was also treated and discharged at the hospital.
So when that happened, that particular student have got a very close friend who was also in the dormitory. So when you saw that, he also wanted to run. The students wanted to grab him. Not knowing he was having a scissors in the pocket. He removed it and took one of the students to hand. So we have to pick that student to the police station. As we speak currently, the students are at the police custody and they are going through investigation.
This morning, tutors at the World Technical Institute converged at the forecourt of the administration block in solidarity with their colleague to serve notice that they were not going to invigilate the final year technical drawing paper of the CT vet examination unless the student was sacked. The incident prompted the principal of the institute to meet with the tutors of Kamara that Captain sought the boycott.
So I was telling that for the invigilation, it's optional. Why you don't? Because we don't owe the exams. So they can go out and look for people to come and invigilate. So when I talk to them, they understand, and I assure them that the safety of the teachers in my school will be one of the management concerns. I'm still assuring them that the students live in any fear. This is the first time we experience this, and I don't think it will continue. When we have taken measures, the students themselves have seen what happened. Tomorrow, if you also commit the same crime, we will hand you over to the police because this is a criminal act.
Though he agreed hook, line, and sinker with the tutors that what the student did was wrong and condemnable, Mr. Saka doesn't believe that the baby should be thrown away with the bath water.
You know, TVS service have brought a policy. We call it the guardian and counseling policy. The policy is that to handle students who are going wayward. So we have some students in the school, and some of them have gone through this guardian and counseling, and they have reformed. So our hope was that these students would have reformed. But you know, you can't have 100%.
Because you said that you have this guidance and counseling on your part.
Yeah.
Dying embers, very few, some few days for him to end school.
Yeah.
And this didn't happen.
It's not a failure on the management part. I said, out of 100, if you're able to reform about 92, it's not a failure. This is just once, but most of them have reformed. And they are conformed. I mean, they are conformed to the school rules and regulations. And they are doing very well.
The exam that was supposed to start at 9 o'clock is now ongoing after 30 minutes. Reporting for the news, Rafik Salam. Wow.
Now, some aggrieved residents of the Kwame Danso area and its environs say they are living in constant fear following incessant robbery attacks in the area. Members of the Gun Youth Association at a news conference appealed to district and regional authorities to institute measures that would curtail the menace after 2 persons were shot and killed by armed men last Saturday.
There is a problem. The Kwame Danso we used to know is a peaceful town some times ago. But today, what we are seeing is not appealing at all. It is destroying the good name of the town that our ancestors built.
These are aggrieved residents of Kwame Danso, the capital of the Sene-West district of the Borno East region, expressing their displeasure at the recent increase in armed robbery incidents in the area. It will be recalled that 2 persons were shot dead, leaving 3 others with various degrees of injuries after a shop was attacked by armed men on Saturday, July 22, 2023. Banka Kwesi is the deputy PR of the Gun Youth Association.
The attack on a shop at Kwame Danso by armed men, claiming 2 lives and leaving 3 others sustaining various forms of injuries, and on Saturday, July 22nd, 2023. This happened at exactly between the hours of 7 and 8, when there was a power outage 10 minutes after the power outage, the incidents occur.
The youth, with support from the community leaders and Nanonom, say the hike in criminal activities in the area continue to serve as a threat to lives and properties, a situation they say is as a result of the poor road network of the district.
We have keenly observed, gathered, and can contribute the unbearable attacks on our roads, shops to the following. Our poor, devastated, deplorable nature of Atebu Kwame Danso Road is key factor, like I've already said, including all the feeder roads in the district, bad roads, and then bad networks. These are issues that we are talking of. So, as you are hearing from us today, we want all the media houses to emphasize on this to help us.
These aggrieved residents asked that the recent attacks has left many living in fear, a situation that is causing the people to sleep early at night.
Economic activities is unbearable. It has come to a standstill. All the filling stations in Kwame Danso, after 7 p.m., you will not see any of them operating. We have decided to impose a curfew on ourselves. Recently, what we are seeing is that exactly 8 o'clock p.m., all stores in the town will be closed. Nobody can go out and buy something.
They therefore send a passionate appeal to district, regional and national leaders to come to their rescue to help save lives and properties.
No. I believe you are here this morning because these issues of killing and unruly activities, you are not happy. The same thing, nobody is happy. We have sent a petition to the IGP and also copied the below actors. IGP, Interior Minister, Defense Minister, members of our Member of Parliament for Sydney West, Honorable Kwame Tumasi Ampofo, Bunu East Regional Minister, the District Chief Executives, that they should come to our rescue. People are dying. Innocent souls are dying.
District Chief Executive of the area, John Inyaba, after receiving the petition presented by the youth, promised to champion this cause as he works towards beefing up security of the area.
At the 7 o'clock, the answer na the obenwa prekopa say etuo etotototo. Say obia ehu aka obia ho. Enti anamu a as a district chief executive and assembly yenso yetu ni say we will beef up the security. But young kwaya na montuo no eusa. Until next week, se na me catch the elder say ahemfo beye 4 plus the youth leadership so be co-regional minister ho 1-on-1 no we say ye ni abre.
Also present at the press briefing are the Bamuhene and Binkumhene of the Jan traditional area. Alan Sabit, Joy News, Kwame Danso.
Now, maintaining optimal indoor air quality is essential for ensuring environmental health and safety within constructed spaces. One prevalent indoor air pollutant that poses direct risk to the eyes, respiratory system, and the central nervous system is formaldehyde. It causes headaches, dizziness, tearing, and nausea. Fortunately, researchers at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology have developed a device capable of breaking down formaldehyde into less harmful substances. Love FM's Kwesi Deborah has more in our Tech Thursday installment.
According to the World Health Organization, formaldehyde concentration in indoor airspace should be strictly regulated at 0.1 parts per million. However, some studies have shown that formaldehyde levels found in some enclosed areas exceed the WHO's recommendation.
From minor to acute, mild upper lung respiratory disorders, heart disorders, even child mortality and shortened lifespan has been connected to pollutant in the air. Another crucial thing about air pollution is that there is the development of photochemical smog. This photochemical smog, in order not to bore your listeners and your viewers, it's a kind of a reaction between certain volatile organic compounds and nitrous oxides agent in the presence of sunlight, they form ozone and other things that are depleting our environment. And if you are a lover of the news and you follow what goes around in the world, you realize that people are talking about climate change, climate change. So, in a nutshell, I'm trying to say that air pollution is crucial because when we have harmful pollutant species in the atmosphere, they cause diseases.
The device, known as dielectric barrier discharge reactor, uses electricity to break down formaldehyde into less harmful substances like carbon dioxide and water. The results of the study, published in the journal Scientific Reports, indicated that the device efficiently removed low concentration formaldehyde by 99%.
You can place them, it's an indoor device. You can place them indoors, and you can fix them in industries where we have the venting, where these volatile organic compounds are capable of exiting. It will suffice for me to mention that this device we have produced to do the environmental remediation or cleaning up is also a suitable reactor for the production of hydrogen fuel. If economies would develop and become robust and resilient, energy is very important because now the world thrives on materials, energy, and the environment. The developed world are developing in terms of industrialization because they have enormous amount of energy. So this kind of reactor, what it can do is to try to convert atmospheric pollutant, for example, carbon dioxide, into more hydrogen. And that is the most sought for fuel in the world at the moment, as I'm talking to you. When it does, it produces hydrogen gas and carbon monoxide. This carbon monoxide can be combined with ordinary water, in a water gas shift reaction to produce more hydrogen fuel. The other thing we can do is to use it to sterilize even hospital equipment.
Reporting for Joy News, Kwesi Deborah.
In our next story, Northern Regional Minister Alhaj Shani Al-Hassan Shaibu has revealed that only 11% of Tamale residents have toilet facilities. He's described the situation as worrying. Alhaj Shaibu spoke at a ceremony to inaugurate the Tamale wastewater treatment plant in Balahi, a suburb of Tamale.
The Tamale wastewater treatment plant is the fifth wastewater treatment plant to be constructed. The plant has a capacity of 1,000 cubic meters per day, built with a comprehensive European treatment technology. It's expected to help deal with the sanitation situation in the area. The Northern Regional Minister said the inadequate public and household toilets in Tamale has resulted in rampant open defecation in the metropolis.
The increase in population obviously translates into corresponding increase in the amount of fecal matter generated in the metropolis. Latrine coverage in Tamale, according to Tamale Metropolitan Assembly, is about 11%. The inadequate public and household latrines in Tamale has resulted in rampant open defecation in the metropolis. This is evident in the air quality and resultant related diseases.
The chief operation of the board chair, Dr. Joseph Sian Japan, said the facility is expected to generate 300 direct and indirect job opportunities.
The Tamale wastewater treatment plant has the capacity to treat 1,000 cubic meters of fecal matter per day using a comprehensive European technology. This commissioning brings to the fore 5 of such plants.
Well, now, in our next story, some water supplying companies in rural communities in the Ashanti region are demanding payment of arrears after providing free water to consumers under the COVID-19 relief package. In April 2020, President Kwadwo announced a utility package to absorb water and electricity bills for lifeline consumers for a year. However, some community water suppliers say they are yet to receive payment for services provided. There is more in this report.
At the just ended second conference of the Network of Community Water Services, NETCOWAS, managers of community water supplies at Kuntinase, Buenim, and Ankasi said the government owed them at least 140,000 Ghana cedis. The three communities are part of several others across the country, owed cumulatively over 1 million Ghana cedis. In spite of several letters and visits to local assemblies for payment of the arrears, the managers insist their calls have fallen on deaf ears. Emmanuel Opon and Emmanuel Aban speak for the Buenim and Ankasi water supply and sanitation areas respectively.
The system did well in supplying free water for 1 good year. We've done our best going to the district assembly, contacting the CWSA how to get this money, but still we are not getting it. Though they've paid some, the total amount was around 3.3 and something Ghana cedis. But they've made some few payments and now they are owing us 151,000 Ghana cedis.
We use about 140,000 to produce water to the community. And our sister community, which is Kuntinase, there too, the government is owing Kuntinase water system 150,000 Ghana cedis.
The outstanding balance, according to them, is hampering their operations with imminent threat to water supply in these areas.
Quite recently, our pump developed faults. Somebody assisted at about 26,000 before we were able to repair the pump. So we have and the electricity too. They are demanding the electricity base, and we are owing electricity by about 80,000 because of the free water. In case the government fails to pay that cost, it means we are not going to sustain the system. As very soon we will be heading towards the dry season, our communities who face water problems very well.
Their concerns are among other challenges, including ongoing road construction works, confronting members of the NETCOWAS Community Water Services in Ashanti region. Impo Bihine, Nana Owusu-Tapon is president of NETCOWAS.
As we have set this NETCOWAS up, NETCOWAS is not only for the sustainability of the water system, but we are also forming a forum whereby our voices can clearly be heard. Because if only one community goes to talk about the monies promised to them, which are not being paid, it will not be effective. Like maybe 10, 20, 50 communities together, their voice will be much more heard. That is why we are entreating other communities to come and join NETCOWAS so that we will form a bigger forum where our voices will be heard.
For Joy News, my name is Emmanuel Bright Kweku.
Now, the Registrar of the Health Facilities Regulatory Agency has lauded the commitment of the Christian Health Association of Ghana to improve healthcare delivery within its facilities across the country. There is more.
Speaking at the Maiden Quality Safe Care and Quality Improvement Awards organized by Farm Access Ghana and Safe Care in collaboration with HEFRA, Dr. Philip Anobano said the Quality Improvement Partnership with Safe Care helps the Health Regulatory Agency to work towards minimizing errors in healthcare delivery and promotes quality healthcare.
Minimizing errors and promoting what is good. Recently, there was, I think it made the news, in the U.S., I have the U.S. data, so not because I favor them over any here, but I have the data from there. Nearly 800,000 people either died or suffered serious disability or sequelae from missed diagnosis a year. 375 of them say died. So the 425,000 suffered a disability. It means that you have to live with this. So with that as a background, we have reason to work together. and for Safe Care and pharmacists and for everybody here, I thank you and I thank you and I thank you. I can't say thank you enough. Let me tell you what this does for HEFRA. I'll get to that in a minute, but let me go over some of the issues first. So, issues like hospital-acquired infections. You don't go to a hospital to get an infection, do you? You're supposed to get better, so we must work towards that.
Speaking to Joy News after the awards, the Executive Director of the Christian Health Association of Ghana, Dr. Peter Yeboah, said 91% of all SHAG facilities assessed by Safe Care have recorded performance improvement since 2020. Dr. Yeboah added that by using the Safe Care standards, the country can push to attain global standards of healthcare. In all, 8 facilities and organizations that have made remarkable progress in establishing and implementing systems and processes towards individuals who were awarded, along with 7 individuals were dedicated to promoting and facilitating quality improvement in various healthcare facilities networks in Ghana. Safe Care helps healthcare stakeholders in emerging markets to bridge the quality gaps today for a safer tomorrow.
And so for the past 3 years, in collaboration with pharmacists, we have adopted and embedded the Safe Care Quality Improvement Program to ensure that our systems, our environment, our staff, organizational environment reflect our ideals and values of our highest accountability with respect to the mandate that we have to promote health and healing, and we do so aware that quality is probably the single most important structure, system, process, or outcome that is expected within the entire health sector. We believe strongly that for CHAG, we are the anointed and appointed guardian of safety, best experience in healthcare, and of course, effectiveness in the way we package, define, defend, and we deliver health services.
Karen Obin's report read to you.
And that's how we wrap up the news for the morning. But stay with us. The news review is up next.
Every child out there deserves an opportunity to be educated. That is why Samuel Ni Ado has given an opportunity to the kids in the streets of Jamestown, an opportunity to be educated. Now join me as we go to Off the Streets Academy at Jamestown to meet Samuel. What inspired the whole initiative?
Yeah, the vibe is, the main challenges we face in Jamestown is a lot because the main occupation in Jamestown is fishing and boxing. So many of the kids like to do that main job that we do in Jamestown. That's our culture. So many of the kids really wants to follow the culture vibe. Example like me, I have never been to a proper school before. I was born and raised in the street, but I get to know that education is access to every child. So it is something that I plan to do for a very long time. And I started this project over 14 to 15 years and I'm still in it. Kids are my passions. Kids are my everything, which I know that we really have to help these kids.
Sure. We know putting up a school is very expensive. It comes with a lot. So how do you get funding in dealing with the daily activities of the school?
When I do tours, people help me with donations and those things, and then I start saving a little bit money. So we were at the fishing village. This wasn't the proper place we were. So we were like running the school over there, and then all of the sudden, due to technology issue, the leaders of this community have to move us from where we were locating at first. So we spoke to the leaders of this community, King of Jamestown, Queen Mother of Jamestown, and they pushed us to this place. So we came here, that was just 2 to 3 years ago, and we are still on the work because these are the future leaders. And then most of the difficult vibe we face in Jamestown is We have ages from 13, 14 that get pregnant. I mean, the girls get pregnant at early stages. And you know, a kid getting pregnant at that stage, the womb is not mature yet to produce babies. So to avoid this situation is to make sure they are good in life, is to make sure they have a good education. Yeah. And then the boys too, they also be on the street, taking people's things. And I have 6 kids, and if I see some of my kids on the street picking or stealing people's things, which is very bad. So to avoid all these situations is to make sure go rounds on the streets, picks most of them from the street to the school, helps them with lunch, books, pencils, uniforms, clothes, toys, hospital bills, and etc.
Meanwhile, individuals from different backgrounds are here today to support Samuel's initiative by refurbishing a new library for the school.
Samuel informed us about the school. He explained that he has 200 kids here, and we come and we visit and we see that there are so many things missing that we wanted to help, so we reached out to some friends. And we created some association, informal group. It's called Off the Street Academy, the name of the school. You can check on Instagram. If you want to reach out, to give some books or computer or anything, just come to visit. You can contact Samuel by this way.
The kids at Off the Street Academy School cannot express their appreciation enough about this kind gesture.
Please, we are excited, and the place is very comfortable. Now through the reading of the books they have brought, we'll become fluent in our English, and we wish if they are coming, they will bring more.
What do you want to be in future?
I want to be a doctor.
Please, I want to be a scientist.
I want to be a doctor.
But how do you feel about the new library being built for you?
It's magnificent and can help us read more. So we are pleading on them so that if they are coming, they can bring more of them.
This library is not just a collection of books, but it is a beacon of hope and an opportunity for these kids who have faced so many challenges out there in the streets. Now, people from all walks of life have come together with great generosity to give these children hope to learn better. For Joy News, Jacqueline Ansuma Yeboah.
Thank you for staying with us, and it's time now for the news review. We're about to get into the papers, let you know what exactly they have to say, and I'll be sharing a few thoughts with you about some other salient matters. But this segment always brought to you by Endpoint Homeopathy Clinic. Now, here's what they're offering you. If you're a man out there, they're offering you prostate screening for free. If you're a woman, fertility screening, also gratis for free. All you need to do is locate them at any of their branches. And here's where you can find them. Here in Accra, they're at Spentex opposite the Shell signboard. There's also Kumasi, Kronumabwe here behind the Angel Educational Complex, and you can also find them in Takrade and Ajay State. There's Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswa and Siama and Zema. If you'd like to call them, these are the numbers, 2 of them, 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. But just the start of our news review segment. Shortly, I'll be joined by founder of the National Interest Movement, Dr. Abu Sakara Foster. But for now, let's make tracks. I'd like to find out from you. Again, I'll start the conversation off on the tangent of Cecilia Abanadapa. There have been new developments, and look forward to my blunt thoughts tomorrow, because I'll be bringing some things to your attention. I'll not let you know. I'm holding those cards to my chest, but I'll be bringing you some things, okay, that I would leave you to digest as a people. But with the pace of things happening, and I always say that it doesn't matter where you stand on the political spectrum. The law is the law. And if you fall foul of the law, I'm not saying she has, there are different dynamics to look at, why she was even keeping such sums of money at home and all of that. And if we wanted to check other ministers and MPs, former, current, and all of that, I mean, we'd be surprised how much we'd get. I want to believe that we probably wouldn't have needed to go to the IMF if all these politicians were people of goodwill who would give. In fact, back in the day, my family, my parents, my mom and my dad lost money to a certain government, military government in this country, because they felt, loan us the money. It was never paid. How about that? So we've actually contributed to the goodness in this country. Yet we have all these politicians hoarding all kinds of money, God knows from where, if not from corruption. And I'm not saying it's all of them, some of them, but I always say, if you knew this person right before they got into politics, and you assess them then and assess them now, the script, the tail of the tape, it is so obvious. It is so obvious. Yesterday, I just forget, but I was reading a similar story somewhere. In fact, when the coup happened in one of these countries, neighboring countries, recently, for good reason, I don't want to mention the name of the country, and the president was apprehended, $6 million was found in his residence where he lived. $6 million. So this is a problem, an African problem. I'm not saying beyond Africa there's no corruption, but you go to places like Japan, if you're found, that's the difference. A few people will do it, but then when you're found, when you're caught, the consequences. Here, you can do it and you can have your integrity intact. You'll even be given a stamp of approval, a pat on the back. In the meantime, young people are suffering in this country. It is really sad, really pathetic. But I'll save the rest for tomorrow. Tomorrow it will be fireworks in the studio. I can guarantee you that. What are your thoughts on this, the Adapa situation? And I am very concerned about what is happening in our sub-region and slightly beyond. Now we hear Niger too has fallen in that latest putsch or coup d'etat. I think our leaders here on the continent should wake up, because post-independence, when a few other countries like Nigeria followed Ghana on the path of independence, shortly after that, there was a string of coup d'etats, even into the 80s. We don't want that trend to continue. But as a political watcher and as a student of politics, it will continue if our leaders keep up with the nonsense they are delivering to us. Yeah, because people will get fed up. People will get fed up. The Arab Spring didn't just happen. It didn't. So let's focus on the things that ought to be focused on. And so a few people, small group of people, have a large stash and they are feeding, they are eating large, living large. And most young people out there cannot even afford 3 square meals a day. And you're happy. Well, you'll get what's coming to you. The Daily Graphic this morning. GPAC celebrates Golden Jubilee. And sometimes, pardon me when I get like this, but even in my personal circumstances, if I tell you what man is going through, I say, The Daily Graphic this morning. GPAC celebrates Golden Jubilee. There's also black flies invade La Nkwantanang Dawenya. We'll be telling you a bit more about that. Birth asphyxia. 50,000 babies die annually. That's according to the Ghana Health Service. Our leaders will not focus on this. The 50,000 dying annually. No, they'll focus on looting the state coffers. Submit report today. Deputy Minister directs Adisco Management. On the back page, Waste Treatment Plant commissioned in Western Region, and UGBS begins second phase of graduate lecture halls. And of course, we've seen the first phase and how that turned out wonderful, allowing for more people to get enrolled. Now they're starting with the second phase. But let's get into the thick of the stories now. Birth asphyxia, 50,000 babies die annually So let's get into the details. And about 50,000 babies die from birth asphyxia in Ghana every year. The program manager of newborn and child health of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Edward Entry, said the figure could be more, given that some of the cases that occurred in home deliveries and outside recognized health facilities might not have been captured in the data. Birth asphyxia happens when a baby's brain and other organs do not get enough oxygen and nutrients before, during, or right after birth. It could happen before birth in the womb and result in stillbirths or during prolonged labor. Quote, in Ghana, on the average, 1 million babies are born every year. And with the current neonatal mortality rate of 17 per 1,000 live births, it means for every 1 million births, about 170,000 are dying. And out of this, 30% are dying from birth. That is from birth asphyxia, I should say, Dr. Entry said. So stakeholders in neonatal care and child health are deliberating on reducing neonatal deaths, particularly asphyxia cases, across the country as part of efforts to reduce neonatal mortality. About 100 participants in the 11th Annual National Newborns Conference, which opened in Cape Coast last Tuesday, deliberated on reducing the incidence of asphyxia, strengthening sick newborn care at referral district hospitals, and supporting new asphyxiated babies to survive, among others. And so that's the situation there. Very sad. 50,000 babies dying annually. And if you look at the number of births, those affected, if you take the 17 per 1,000 live births, it means for every 1 million births, about 170,000 are dying. And that is quite a stark situation. I don't know, though, whether this shouldn't be 17,000. But let's get into other stories now. Page 20 of the Daily Graphic newspaper. The Daily Graphic newspaper. Now, an in-depth investigation is currently ongoing to establish the extent of black fly breeding sites or sources within the Lankwantanang Medina municipality and Dawenya in the Greater Accra region. The effort at Lankwantanang is being spearheaded by the Environmental Health and Sanitation Unit of the Municipal Assembly to enable the government and its agencies to fight the invasion of harmful insects head-on in parts of the municipality. This is after entomological and epidemiological investigations by the Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research confirmed the presence of the blackfly larvae in the Dakubi stream, a fast-flowing water body from the Akwapim Ridge lying between Oyarifa Taiman and Abokubi that runs into the Odo River. Now, although the Dakubi stream has been confirmed as a breeding source, authorities at the Municipal Assembly believe that there may be other streams and rivers responsible and therefore requires thorough scouting of the municipality. Now, black flies, sometimes called buffalo gnats, are harmful insects that have a resemblance to a mosquito, ranging in sizes from 5 to 15 millimeters, dark and relatively robust with an arched thoracic region. And so be on the lookout. They are attracted to dark-colored clothing, sweat on the skin, and sweet-smelling scents. Their bites are painful, itchy, and can cause severe allergic reactions. Please note, I'm repeating this for your own good. The black flies, if you find any of these approaching you or biting you, they are attracted to dark-colored clothing, sweat on the skin, and sweet-smelling scents. Their bites are painful, itchy, and can cause severe allergic reactions. If you have allergies already, they could exacerbate them. There is no need to worry about them when indoors, as they are only active during the day. And that's the caution there that we all ought to pay attention to. No licenses granted to exploit lithium. That's according to the Lands Ministry. Mr. Janapo, let's keep it that way then, because we've seen how extracting anything in this country has been abused, debased, been corruption-laden, and all of that. So let's keep it that way. Maybe, I feel in this country, until we get responsible management for our natural resources, and yes, I mean those managing it now are not responsible. That's what I mean. I'm not mincing words. Until we get that, I think we should just let our natural resources remain where they are. Because the sort of pittance, the paltry sums we keep getting from some of these entities from outside the world, but it's because our leaders refuse to think. Our misleaders, all they are interested in is getting that next deal, cutting a deal from themselves, building houses wherever you like. You see, there's this saying that someday the poor will have nothing else to eat but the rich. Sometimes wealthy people forget that. I was in Liberia. I saw what happened there. I lived through the war, made it back to Ghana, my country. I'm telling these leaders, these misleaders, that if they continue on this trajectory, putting up houses in wherever, I don't want to mention locations because we know them, someday, if we keep up this nonsense, someday, God forbid, we'll push people to the wall. And if we do, those same treasures you keep hoarding will be lost in the twinkling of an eye. So, Mr. Lands Minister, let's keep it that way until no licenses are granted to exploit our lithium, which is a crucial resource, by the way. Sometimes it boggles my mind. We have all of this, and yet, in the conversation I had with a YEA boss, at least something I can tease out. They put out, openings. You want just a few people, and you'll get so much. I don't want to give out too much because you'll listen to the interview, and then you'll find out. You want to give just a little opening, about 5, 6, 7 times the number applied. What does that tell you? There's no work. And even when you want to do something little for yourself, start up something, it's one of the craziest environments to be in currently. Look at our tax regime. Talk about inflation. Talk about the cost of doing business. And do you expect young people to be entrepreneurial? I remember the finance minister sometime, was it last year or 2 years ago, saying that. Entrepreneurial. On what? What are they going to use? What resources? Do we start businesses from air? Or is it the scenario where you want a poultry farm, but you start with 1 feather? We all know that is goose feathers. Anyway, or horse feathers, I should say. But that is the story. You can tell I'm a bit upset today because sometimes you just follow the rhetoric of our leaders and you wonder how we've ended up in such a situation, not just in Ghana, in practically the entirety of the continent, and how these people think. So myopic. On page 21, consumers, businesses share mixed sentiments on economy. Now, the Bank of Ghana's latest confidence surveys conducted in June 2023 reflected mixed sentiments as consumers and businesses shared varied opinions about present economic conditions. For instance, consumer confidence softened on account of an uptick in prices of goods and services, which also led to some concerns about future economic conditions. On the other hand, business sentiments remained largely unchanged. Businesses' optimism about the impact of stable macroeconomic conditions on their operations was offset by concerns about the cost implications of recent tax and utility tariff increases. Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Ernest Addison said at a Monetary Policy Committee news conference last Monday. Now, similarly, Ghana's Purchasing Managers Index, which is the prevailing direction of economic trends in the manufacturing and service sectors, dipped to 50.4 in June this year from 51.3 in the previous month. The index, however, remained above the 50% or 50.0 mark for the 50th successive months, signaling stable business conditions. But the stability in the end will be determined by the ordinary Joe, the ordinary Kwame, the ordinary Amma out there on the streets. Now, the scenario I was, talking to you about at the start of this review, Niger soldiers holding president. Now, soldiers in Niger have blockaded the presidential palace as well as several ministries in the capital, Niamey, according to reports. No shots were fired, and it's not clear if this is an attempt by the presidential guard to seize power, while some others are basically confirming this has happened. Now, the president's office tweeted that the guards unsuccessfully tried to get support from the military in their anti-Republican efforts. President Mohamed Bazoum is in his residence with his family, AFP reports. One unnamed source told the same agency the move was a, quote, fit of temper by troops and that talks were underway. We'll continue like this on the continent until we begin to realize that the youth, who constitute the largest proportion of our numbers on the continent, must be given, in some countries, economic rights. Economic rights. You have a right to a job, you know. You're done with your nursing training and all of that. You're still sitting at home. And then we turn around and, oh, why is there brain drain? It's because of our stupidity. That's why the brain drain is happening. And it's because of the shallow thinking of African leadership. So we want to remain in power, keep stashing different sums of money here and there, and doing all kinds of things, forgetting about the masses. And I am not a coup maker. I'm not a coupist. I am not a supporter of coup d'etats. They always come with their negativity. But I am saying, if you keep playing a certain tape and the result is the same, and you don't change the tape, you keep getting the same results. So why are African leaders not seeing that? And the impunity, sometimes the arrogance of leadership, and how even when the wrong thing has been done, they add insult to injury, rub salt in our wounds. That is even what makes you even more angry. The wrong thing is done, and they try and show you black and tell you it is white. Nigeria's secret police beat prison officers at court, and that's a story there. There's also Ukraine foreign minister in Liberia on African tour. Let's move on to other papers as we get ready to wrap the conversation. So the Daily Guide this morning, Standard Chartered posts strong income growth. Ebenezer Chum Asante posted that there. Then Baumia picks 10, Allen number 2 for NPP confab. And of course, number 1, Kennedy Ohene Japong, number 2, Alan Tremating. And of course, we have Adai Nimo in number 7. He says he is CR7. And then there is also Dr. Mahmoud Baumia in number 10. Is there anything in these numbers? You tell me. You tell me and let me know what you think. Emmanuel Gbemu on social media says, it is very bad this has to go on in Africa, but I believe it is necessary to change the order of the... Okay, so I'll leave your comment there. Of course, we need change, but change through the barrel of a gun, that I am not so sure of. I don't think that is the way to go. But sometimes African leaders will just drive you crazy. Stark raving mad. I am sure your integrity will be established in the end. See. Cecilia, $1 million scandal, $800,000 in box for my brother. Okay. Produce reports on bullying students. That's according to Reverend Fojo. We like to major on the minors. Anyway, let's go to page 3. Now, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, who is seeking to be elected among the first 5 of the 10 presidential aspirants, has picked number 10 on the ballot, while former Trade and Industry Minister Alan Kwadwo Poku picked number 2 at the balloting for sports yesterday at the New Patriotic Party's Asylum Down headquarters ahead of the party's Super Delegates Conference on August the 26th, 2023. MP for Asin Central and businessman Kennedy Ohene Ejapong picked number 1 on the ballot, while former Minister for Railways and Member of Parliament for Esikado Ketan, Jogate, picked number 3 on the ballot. Others include Mr. Kwabene Japong, a former General Secretary of the NPP, and Kwadwo Poku, an energy specialist, who picked number 6 and 4, respectively, while former Member of Parliament for Mampong, Francis Adainimo, picked the number 7 spot. 3 other presidential aspirants who were represented by members of their campaign team, including former Agric Minister Dr. Uso Efriakoto, picked number 5. Dr. Kofi Konadu Apreku picked number 8 on the ballot, with Boache Tremating Ejako picking number 9 on the ballot. But let's come to this bit. For Adam Otri, host of Good Evening Ghana show on Metro TV, has stated that $800,000 of the alleged $1 million cash heist from the house of former Minister of Sanitation and Water Resources Cecilia Abnadapa belongs to her late brother. Paul. You know, usually I would refrain from, were you there? When they were stashing the money, were you there? Some of the things you come on air to say, I'll leave it there. You are my senior brother. I'll leave it there. According to him, only $200,000 of the total belongs to the former minister, who was arrested by the Office of the Special Prosecutor after news leaked about the money and other expensive goods stolen by domestic employees working in her home. I'm sure when they were doing the packing, you helped them do the packing. On his show on Tuesday, Mr. Adomotri discussed the incident, revealing that $800,000 in a box under lock and key was bequeathed to Ms. Dapa's late brother by their mother. Okay. The TV host added that the former minister's husband, Daniel Osei-Kuffour, a well-known architect, had also claimed the 300,000 euros, which is detailed in the police charge sheet. No wahala. Ghana for, we don't have any wahala. We just want the Special Prosecutor's Office, SHRAJ, whichever entity will get into this, to substantiate these claims. Substantiate the claims. And if this was her brother's money, right? How long has it been since this money has been in her custody? What has been the interaction, the interactivity, the emails, maybe text messages, WhatsApp messages on the back of keep this money for me, calls, call logs and all of that. I mean, there are ways of getting into this. Yeah, there are ways of getting into it. So, Mr. OSP, Mr. Special Prosecutor, I should say, among others, let's substantiate these claims. Let's substantiate them. Whether it belongs to her brother, her grandmother who died, her great-grandmother, her child yet to be born, let's find out. SHRAJ rejects opposition against the Ablakwa's Cathedral petition, and the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice has rejected oppositions raised by the Finance Minister and the Secretary of the National Cathedral Board of Trustees regarding an amount of 2.6 million Ghana cedis paid to JNS Talent Company Limited for the construction of the National Cathedral. According to the Member of Parliament for North Tong, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, JNS Talent Center Limited is a company owned by the Secretary of the National Cathedral Board of Trustees, Reverend Victor Kusi-Boateng, therefore causing a conflict of interest in respect of Reverend Victor Kusi-Boateng's position on the National Cathedral Board. Now, the petition by Okudzeto Ablakwa was received by the two deputy commissioners of SHRAJ, also alleged that there was a transfer of 2.6 million Ghana cedis from the National Cathedral Secretariat to GNS Talent Center Limited, owned by Reverend Kusi-Boateng. You can get further details of that story in the Daily Guide newspaper. I love my naked look. That is Shatta Michi. I see. And Shatta Wale Freedom Wave concert, December 25th. Let's wrap. Business Finder. 7,500 jobs to be available from 2 community mining schemes. You can check out the details of that on page 2. Israel. Ghana must raise levels of investment. And, of course, pictured there as well, the Israeli ambassador. I'm talking about the Business Finder newspaper. And SEHP to hold Made in Africa Women and Children confab. That story actually yesterday in the Daily Graphic newspaper. Let me see whether there are any other comments I can read. No, none for now. Let me check out if I have any messages in terms of birthdays or anything of the sort. Okay, so nothing for now. We'll be heading into sports. I think I'll do this today and do it tomorrow as well. Na Amanua Ankra. Tomorrow is your birthday, so in advance, I'd like to wish you a wonderful birthday. You're a wonderful person. God bless and keep you. And that's the note on which we'll wrap the news review this morning. If I let my emotions, if I wore them like a sleeve this morning, it was very intentional and it was very heartfelt. I get sick when I go out after my show every day and encounter the bleeding masses, especially young people. I don't know what the future of our country is, but I pray that Ghana becomes that land flowing with milk and honey that we were made to be. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic helped us bring you this segment, and they're offering free prostate screening, free female fertility screening. If you'd like to get to any of their branches, this is how you can get to them. In Accra, Spintex opposite the Shell signboard. Kumasi, Kronum here behind the Angel Educational Complex. Takrade Anaji State, Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswa and Siama and Zama. Their call line 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. And that brings us to the end of the news review. Up next is the latest in sports. Stay.
Good morning, you're still watching the AM show. My name is Harun Mubarak and it's time for sports. Now, as Team Ghana gets ready for the upcoming World Athletics Championship in Budapest, there are some concerns about the performances of athletes in recent months. The country's 100 meters team have struggled to produce sub-10 performances. The 200 meters and long jump athletes have also not put up convincing numbers. But head coach Andrew Owusu says there's no cause for alarm.
Athletes run fairly early in the season and then struggle later on, right? So it's about peaking at the right time. So let's use Joe Paul as an example. Yes, he ran 994 last year, but if you remember in Mauritius, Joe struggled, right? I think he ran at 2017 something in the 200. The way the qualification system is set up, unlike say maybe 5-6 years ago, that automatic standard is extremely high, right? And to be honest with you, with automatic standard, yes, you run it once. But then you are going to have people who are coming in through the second route of qualification. And in this case, we are talking about the ranking system where you're using an average, the top 5 performances, average of the top 5 performances. And so if you look at that average performance, it might actually be better than somebody who may have run, one time very fast and had issues. Having said that, as CEO mentioned, right around April going into May, the times that collectively they were running, especially on those who would be on the 4x1 team, was much faster than last year, which is on average, right? And so at least on the 4x1 side, they were pegged to perform better. I think maybe later on in the conversation, we can talk about what's happened between the end of the U.S. collegiate season and where we are right now.
The athletes are expected to camp in France next month. That is for the Budapest Championship, which starts on August 19. Now, Bawa Hussein is the CEO of Ghana Athletics, and he says the camping in France will improve the athletes.
The young athletes that went to U.S. about 6-7 months ago are doing incredibly well. That are giving us a lot of hope. That are giving us a lot of confidence that going forward, this athlete will do well. Something that we're just missing in our preparation toward these bigger competitions, that is the period, few weeks period to the major competition, we always have problems of camping these athletes for them to be able to at least practice the 400 to get the bottom etching perfectly done. By this time around, thank God that we have an agreement with French embassy through the French government that they have agreed, and even we almost finished all the process of sending our national team to camp in Paris for at least 2 weeks, fully sponsored by French embassy in Ghana here, which I would like to use your medium to express our profound gratitude on behalf of the President of Ghana Athletics and the Executive Board, the NSA and the Ministry, that we are so grateful to the French Embassy in Ghana, vis-a-vis to the French government, through the French Athletics Association, for giving us the opportunity to camp our athletes in Paris for starting from the 5th to the 16th of next month, to just give our athletes the best preparation we can get at this moment, at least to practice the 400. That has been our biggest problem going into major competitions like World Championship. So I believe, and I think almost all the executive board, including Prof. Andrew and others, also believe that this opportunity will give our athletes a bigger step forward going into the championship like this World Championship.
Away from that, preparation is still ongoing to ensure a successful Africa Games in Ghana. Now, Sports Minister Mustafa Yusuf says the government will spend more than $145 million to organize the Games. According to him, the money required for the country to successfully or flawlessly host the event could increase as the government is focusing on quality facilities.
On the cost for organizing the African Games, I cannot give you the total cost now, because as we are going, we have the software and we have the hardware. The hardware have to do with the construction of the facility. Those one has been awarded, they are public information. Contractor UK, which is developing all the other sporting infrastructure, is $145 million US. We have Legon Sports Facility. The rugby field is going to be the best rugby field in West Africa once it's completed. We also have, when it comes to African Games or Olympic Games, each facility that you are developing, you are going to do it too. So we are developing a warm-up track just close by the University of Ghana Sports Stadium, which is, by the requirement, should be 5 meters away from the main bowl. So everything that you are doing it twice. The swimming pool, for example, we have swimming pool in the Trust Emporium, but it doesn't meet the international standard. Why? Because you have no warm-up pool. So this time, once we finish the 10-lane competition pool will be a world-class swimming pool. And Swimming Federation, or now called World Aquatic Federation, can organize their World Championship in Ghana once this facilities is done. And we are in touch with the World Aquatic Federation to do so. And apart from that, the multipurpose hall we are going to develop, once we finish all the other federations, indoor games, basketball, volleyball, handball, they will be organizing their championship. We will drive more traffic. That's why I said we are positioning Accra as the sports hub within the West Africa region.
And that's how we wrap up sports here on the AM Show with me, Harun Mubarak. For more, you can head on to myjoyonline.com. The AM Show continues right after this.
Hello there, thank you for joining me on the AM Show. And just gone by, you saw my colleague Samuel Imbura of our political desk give you a wrap of what transpired yesterday at the NPP's headquarters. So it's a done deal now. We know we are going into the Super Delegates Congress, which is slated for some time in August, and we will be furnishing you with all the details. This is your election headquarters, but this morning we want to have a conversation about what the next few steps will look like for the New Patriotic Party. And I've been joined by Dr. Kwesi Boateng. He's a political scientist at KNUST, and Kwadwo Poku, who is a flag bearer aspirant himself. And let me start with you, Mr. Poku, and You have gone through the process. Finally, you're on the ballot sheet. What does it feel like for you at this stage in the race to be the NPP's flag bearer?
Ben, and good morning to your viewers. I think it feels the same way I felt when I started this process last year, February, when I made the announcement that I will be contesting for the flag bearership of the party. It is the naysayers that did not believe that I'll do it. But look, for me, every day and every event is one more feather in my hat to show that a young man like me can be very determined to do this. And I am doing this. A lot of people thought I would step down along the way, which has not happened. And everybody can now see that, look, the young man means business.
So, Mr. Poku, you just mentioned the naysayers, and there were some rumors initially that you were going to be dropped from the list. I don't know if you heard any of those, but was there any point that you felt that it was going to be a tough one for you getting to this point?
Not at all. I mean, look, I said a lot of people have their phones and they just basically look at other things on the internet, but they fail to Google who Kwadwo Poku is. If you have done your research and background of who I am, you will know that I don't step up to do things lightly. Before I step up to do anything, I have done my in-depth analysis of my soul, of my resources, and my family to know that I can do this. Something I want to correct, which your reporter said, was that, look, there has not been any problem between a 9 and a 1, a 9 and the party. There has never been issues. The reason the Monday balloting was not done was because most of the aspirants were out in the regions. Now, the election committee was inaugurated on Monday. But you see, if you ballot, it means that all else is okay, and then we move on to the process. We felt that there are staking issues in terms of guidelines, because when we went to council, there were other things that the council referred to the election committee. So we were of the view that we need to meet with the election committee, bring these things to fore, basically iron them out before we move into the balloting. That was why the balloting did not happen on Monday. It wasn't because some people were going to step down. There were issues between us and the party, or there was no such thing. What people don't seem to understand is that this is one family, and this family will stay together. There are no issues. The media keep bringing up issues that we don't even know about. So the most important thing is, look, the balloting is done. I'm number 4, and I think everybody will take notes.
Mr. Poku, you say there were no issues, but I mean, there were times that I personally had to engage chairman of the Council of Elders over concerns that were raised by some of the aspirants concerning the delegates list and a couple others. So it may not have been as, the friction may not have been as you're saying the media or people are putting it, but there sure were issues to be settled, weren't they?
No, there were issues that we felt. Look, we did a petition. And like I said, when these things happen, it is a family matter and we resolve it. When we felt, the 9 felt that there was an issue that needs to be discussed, we went through the right channels. We put it on paper and gave it to the chairman of the party. And rightfully so, he escalated it to the council, which is the highest decision body of the party. Sorry, the second highest decision body of the party. And they ruled on the matter that, look, they think that this is how it should be. Some of us wanted centralized voting. They said, no, it should be regional voting because the precedent is that it's always been central. We stick by that decision. We work hard, we forge on and make it happen. I mean, I don't think the media always make things look more than what it is. That's what I want to point out.
Interesting. Let me bring Dr. Kwesi Amarteah-Boateng in here. And, okay, I'm told that we'll get him shortly. So let me continue with you. So what do the coming days look like for you? Now, you are on the ballot, which means that you've been given the all clear to contest. What is your plan, really, moving forward?
Well, for me, I have done the country twice. I've been to all 16 regions. I am in constant communication with all the delegates, the constituency chairmen who are also voting. My message to them have always been the same. Let's have a two-way communication. Let's have a relationship. When it comes to Kwadwo Poku, that use and dump is out of the scene. I don't believe in that. I believe in forging relationship, keeping them, and basically mentoring these relationships. And that, for me, has been my message. From tomorrow, I'm moving out to the Bono East, Bono area. I have my list in each region, those that I want to basically concentrate on. I cannot concentrate on all 930. I've been talking to the delegates and I have feel that there are some that I have gotten relationship with and I want to basically groom that relationship. And from today, my plan is to basically work on those that I think can be in the KMP family and also groom those that are already in the KMP family. So that's the plan going forward.
Right. I'll come back to you, but let me now engage Dr. Kwesi Amarteah-Boateng. He's a political scientist at KNUST. Doc, thank you so much for your time this morning. And I'd just like to take your quick thoughts, okay? The party has finally gone through the balloting process. Mr. Kwadwo Poku believes that the media is probably creating a problem that doesn't exist. In his estimation, he thinks that this is just a family problem that needed to be addressed, concerns about whether they should go for a centralized or decentralized voting for the Super Delegates Conference, and also concerns about the delegates list, and a whole lot. But from where you sit as a political scientist, how will you assess how the party has handled all these concerns, culminating to this point where we have these flag bearer aspirants all on the ballot?
March, and let me say good morning to your viewers and listeners. The whole thing is unfolding as, generally speaking, you expect political activities in a political party preparing for elections to unfold. People have cause to be anxious. The establishment has openly demonstrated its interest in a particular person. At that time, Mr. Kenneth Oyata simply openly endorsed Dr. Bawumia. And so the other contestants obviously want to, express some sort of apprehension. If there's any little development that they don't fully understand and they don't think they are very well represented in. But then so far, I think the party has addressed these issues properly because normally conflicts, we say, are normal, generally, not only in political party activities, but also in the life of any group of individuals. But then when the conflicts come, the way they are addressed becomes the issue. Political scientists agree that, such development enable the system to grow, to mature, to become stronger, learn, and then in future be able to address similar, issues as and when they come. One, the fact that they've gotten all the contestants to come together, go through the balloting, itself is indeed a demonstration of progress being made by the party. I think the party is doing well so far.
Now, let me find out, because thankfully, we have one of the flag bearer aspirants here. You just made a statement about the establishment choosing one of the candidates over the others. Mr. Kwadwo Poku, do you feel that is what is happening?
Feel intangible. So basically, nobody can put their hand on it. It's a perception. I mean, people have their perception, and look, everybody is at liberty to have their own perception if they think that's the case. I honestly see Doctor as a colleague in this race because he's a candidate. When we went to ballot, he couldn't come. He sent his his chief of staff, Mr. Fred Owari, to come and do it. We are all colleagues in this race. Yes, he doubles up as vice president. So when he goes to places, he wears two hats. So all the protocol that has to be in place as a vice president is in place. I've had the cause to be asked that, am I worried about the trooping of all executives and party machinery behind him? I said, no. It's the protocol. When the vice president comes, everybody gets up, everybody follows him. There's nothing wrong with that. But as a colleague and as an aspirant, if he thinks that the people following him are going to vote for him by virtue of him being vice president, then that's a different matter. I have a reason to believe that people will vote their conscience. People will basically do the right thing on the day. Look, there is challenges, and normally it's not to do with the aspirant. It's to do with people around the aspirant. Overzealous, over trying to impress, and they are the problem, not the aspirant. So our concern is not really with the aspirants or the colleagues in this race. Our concern has always been with the supporters and people around the aspirants who are trying to basically catch the eye of the aspirant post-election. But one thing is for sure, we're going to have a free and fair election, and measures are being put in place to achieve that. Right.
Let me now bring in a director of elections at the NPP, Mr. Evans Namaku. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
So, Mr. Poku has expressed confidence that there will be a free and fair election. We heard from some of the other aspirants in the clip that just aired before we started the conversation. We heard from Mr. Alan Kojo-Tramanting, and we heard from Mr. Kwabena Ejapon. Your party has been in the news quite recently for some reasons, bordering on what some of the aspirants think should be the manner in which the election should be conducted, and what the party finally made a decision on. As we hear from all of them, they are now on the same page, but there's just an interesting aspect that has got a lot of tongues wagging. It's about a certain undertaking, call it, that these aspirants, both presidential and parliamentary, have to sign, saying that they will not be independent candidates or run on the ticket of any other party if they fail to become either a presidential candidate or a parliamentary candidate. What exactly is informing this decision by the party?
Thank you for having me, and I'm happy Mr. Kwadwo Poku has put it definitely as it is, that the fears of the presidential aspirants have been allayed. This is in view of the fact that the Presidential Elections Committee that was put together by the National Council has engaged and will continue to engage our aspirants until the due day, 26th August and November 4, 2023. The issues that were raised earlier were put to rest by the National Council, which they all appreciate is the body clothed with authority to give such directives on the issue of how the elections is supposed to be conducted. The National Council made it clear to all stakeholders that for the precedents you've had, you will be conducting the special electoral college in all the 16 regions as well as the national headquarters. With respect to voting by the delegates, I think the party constitution is clear that irrespective of the number of categories that a delegate may belong, each voter is entitled to one vote. And it is also emphasized in the Article 13, Clause 2, Subclause 2, that all delegates will vote for one contestant when there are more than one candidate for such election. So all those issues were put to rest. Other nitty-gritties that needed to be addressed have to do with how the EC will conduct the exercise on the election day. And I think when we met with the aspirants, as Mr. Kwadwo Poku has informed you, it's been made clear all the rough edges have been smoothened, and they can confidently assure their supporters that the party is ready to conduct a very free, fair, transparent primary. The issue of signing contractual agreement with the party is something that the candidates did in their nomination form. They appeared before the vetting committee. They swore an oath to make sure that at all times party unity will be central in their discussions. But they can also let you know that when the party met at council emphasized that going forward, having been cleared by the elections committee and getting the endorsement of the National Council, we expect candidates at all times to respect the code of conduct that has been put together by the party. That in this way, they must be mindful of their campaign messages, to stick to their policy and issues, and not to attack individuals. And so that was why the party is bringing it back to them, that they should be mindful of the contractual arrangement that they signed, that they will respect the processes put together by the party to conduct primaries that will be free, fair, and transparent. We are being informed by our history that in some instances where primaries are conducted, some candidates will then depart from the party line. And so this arrangement is to bring them in line with party rules and regulations, that when all is said and done, they will still be bounded by the rules and regulations, the code of conduct, as well as the party.
Mr. Nimaku, has this always been the case, or you were, instructed, if I may say, by the incident of the former MP, for which reason you included this in the nomination forms?
This has always been the case.
Right. But
when council concluded, council sought to remind our presidential aspirants that this is what they have committed themselves to, and they are bound by it.
Yes, but don't these candidates reserve the right to make such decisions if they choose to after, say, they lose an election? I'm saying this because, and I have a copy of your undertaking, and I'd like to read it so that my audience can get a grasp of what we're talking about here. So I haven't expressed or indicated my interest or desire to contest in the presidential primary elections of the New Patriotic Party and subsequently contest as a presidential candidate for the New Patriotic Party in the 2024 general elections. I do undertake and assure the NPP with utmost good faith that in the event of being unsuccessful at the primaries, 1, I shall not offer myself as an independent candidate on the ticket of any party for the purpose of the 2024 general elections. 2, I shall not under any circumstance be in breach of this undertaking should I be should I be permitted to take part in the New Patriotic Party's presidential primary elections? 3. In the event of a breach of this undertaken by me, the New Patriotic Party reserves the right to restrain me from contesting as an independent candidate or as a candidate on the ticket of any other political party. Is a third point I am interested in. How does the party even intend to restrain persons from contesting on the ticket of another party if they fail just by signing to this? What is the party's understanding of restraining people in this circumstance?
Well, thank you. I think that the party got to this stage because we are human. It's a political party, and we are dealing with senior party members who have been given opportunity to participate in this. Mind you, they are true party persons, and they respect and appreciate the party's philosophy and ideology. But as human as we are, these individuals have support base across the country. Sometimes it may not be on their own, but may be driven by the support base. And so this is to remind them that notwithstanding circumstances surrounding whatever the outcome of the elections, they must also have in mind that having gotten the opportunity by the party to be in this exercise, we are also obliged to comply.
But they also have freedom of association, don't they? But back to my question about how the party intends to restrain them. So say, if I were a candidate, I don't want to use any other person, so I'll be said to be biased. Let me just use myself. If I were a candidate and I lost the elections and I made a decision that I was going to leave the party, because I have signed this, how will the party restrain me? I just want the practical steps that the party will take in case of an incident like that.
Okay, so this is a political party, and we are getting our presidential aspirant to appreciate that for being allowed to participate in this exercise, you are obliged to respect the rules and regulations and code of conduct put together by the party. And let me give you this analogy. Married couples are bound by the vows they say to each other, isn't it? And they respect it at all times, obey it. The New Patriotic Party has gone into this contractual arrangement with our presidential candidate. They gave us their word. They swore an oath that they will respect and abide by the rules put together by the party. We therefore expect them at this stage that having been allowed by the party to be in this process, they are not to be in breach of these rules of engagement. We hope they will go by this. In event that any of them want to contravene this exercise, the party will take an action within the law to address it, as we put it black and white on the paper.
How this plays within the law, because I'm just thinking about a person's freedom to associate and a person's freedom to, make decisions as stipulated in the Constitution, and whether this contained in this contract, as you refer to it, is not in contravention of the Constitution. Let me take the thoughts of Dr. Amache Boateng on this. Doc, in your entire experience as a political scientist, have you ever come across a clause like this in any contract or agreement between a person and a political party he belongs to? And what are your quick thoughts about it?
I'd like to, let me explicitly, I have it, but I don't have to claim that I've been reading every document that might have something of this nature. I've been watching every political system, and so might have come to terms with some development like this. But that notwithstanding, some of these things are implied. Membership of a political party also implies that you are going to align yourself with the rules of the game, the rules and regulations that the political party operates with. And they would, NPP, a living organism, a rational entity, would like to make sure that they don't break their ranks going into the next election. And they want to address all concerns that to the best of their understanding, might become a constraint. And one of them is this issue that we, looking at. So I think it's only fair on their part to get a contestant to sign onto some such understanding. And I don't think it is odd. I don't think it is out of place. If you are a member of the party, hello.
Dr. Macho Boateng, I beg your pardon. We can hear you.
Good. If you are a member of the party and then you have come out to contest, as a presidential material, you understand that at the end of the day, only one person is going to go through at the end of the day. If you have any concerns about how things are, unfolding, and essentially this issue about free and fair elections, relates to the rules of the electoral game and their implementation. You still have time, you still have opportunity to address any issue that you have difficulty with. And then the leadership here represented by the council will address it. And as it is so far today, the council has really been working, and to the best of my understanding, I don't have information about any special development in there. But I give the council the benefit of the doubt and say that we have addressed all such concerns so far today. So I think it is fair. It is fair on the part of the party to want to keep its rank together, especially after the election. Once you have 10 people contesting, now the stakes are high, and everybody is going in to win. I did hear Mr. Kwadwo Poku and how hopeful he is. And that is the way it should be. So they don't want to also entertain anything that will give an impression, that the rules are being twisted in favor of any other person. So there's a high possibility that someone, an aggrieved person who loses, might want to break away. The party is in to also win the national presidential election. So I think they are doing the right thing for themselves.
I mean, I'm guessing Mr. Kwadwo Poku may not want to comment on this, but let me give it a try. Mr. Kwadwo Poku, I mean, within the legal arena, we've just heard from Dr. Macho Boateng, who's a political scientist, but legally, is this possible at all? Because I'm thinking about, and we just heard from your Director of Elections and Research, who said that restraining here could probably mean going legal with whichever contestant, parliamentary or presidential, that decides to break away from the party in case they lose. But is this legally sound?
Bennett, you came up and said freedom of association. We individuals freely associated ourselves with the NPP. Nobody forced us into NPP. So the minute you join a group, association, any organization, you are bound by the rules of that association. What my brother, Director of Election, is trying to say is very clear. As long as you are a member of that party, you are bounded by the rules of that party. Look, the issue that we signed, the undertaking, is only a rehash of the laws of the party or the laws of any association. If you are willing to be part of that association, then you don't do anything that contravenes the association. And it's not only a political party. You cannot be part of an association and then decide that you're going to do something in contrary to the association and still be part of that association. So it's very simple. The same way you freely joined, you can freely leave.
Yeah, but is that not what the last point is denying you of? And let me just read it again.
No, it's not denying you of anything. You came freely.
Yes.
Nobody forced you into NPP. Look, if I was born into NPP and I am hereditary by NPP, then that issue comes in that, look, I didn't have a choice to be part of NPP. I was born into it by hereditary. So you cannot say that I have to. But you came freely. Nobody was born into NPP. You joined freely. So if you cannot abide by the rules of the party, by all means, you cannot be part of the party and contravene its rules. And its rules is that you need to stick to the rules of the party. It's very simple. I don't see how that
where here the rules here mean that you cannot leave to form another association or you cannot join. Doesn't that contravene your basic human rights?
My sister, nobody is saying you cannot leave. Everybody can leave. What the law is saying is that you cannot have your cake and eat it too. All the party is saying that you cannot be part of the party and decide to run independent or go and do something else. If you want to be part,
So in other words, a decision to go independent or join another party means you forfeit your membership of the party.
But isn't that what it is? And that is the basic common sense. You can't be part of a party and go independent. What does independent mean? Independent means that you are no longer part of an association. So really and truly, the party doesn't need to tell you that. When you sit in your house and you make that decision, it's clear. And every time that has happened, people have gone independent. And to come back into the party, you have to join. Then you have to go through 5 years of good standing to be meaningful to anything. So look, I have a typical example when last year, in 2021 December, the group of Ashanti youth came to me and said, look, we've heard you want to do this, but we want you to do it as an independent. And I said, no, I will do it in the party. And they agreed, and they are all supporting me to do it in a party. If I said that, okay, I'll do it with them, the number of years that I've been part of the party is cancelled and wiped out. I go out of the party. If I decide to come back, then I start afresh. But it means that nobody can trust you. You need to toil. You need to basically go through the rankles, the hurdles of a party. That's what it is. Not everything that the party does that you'll be happy with. Like we rightly discussed, some of us wanted a centralized voting. The council, which is part of the constitution, says that no, we are the ones that decide where venues are held. This is what we've decided. Everybody clap and move on. That's the association. That is what comes with it. So look, you want to be part of an association, you stick with the rules.
Yeah, it's interesting you say this because, if the party had stuck to restraining you from being an independent candidate, then I can understand the argument you're making here. But the party goes on to say that, or contesting on the ticket of another political party. What I know exists is that one cannot run on the ticket of another political party while being a member of another. So is the party suggesting in the introduction of that phrase, another political party, suggesting that even if you leave the party to join another party and contest as on that party's ticket, they will still come after you? Help me understand that bit as well.
Okay, so let me use this. I'm a Ghanaian. The Constitution of Ghana applies to me as long as I'm a Ghanaian. A Nigerian who lives in Nigeria, a Constitution of Nigeria applies to him. Whatever happens, if I leave Ghana and go to Nigeria and I renounce my citizenship of Ghana, the laws of Ghana no longer applies to me. The laws of Nigeria applies to me. Everything the party is saying only applies to you as long as you are a member of the party. So what the party is telling you that, look, these are my rules. If you are a patriot, these are the rules. If you cease to be a patriot, that's it. Then the party rules doesn't apply. I walk around with the party handbook. If I'm no longer a member of the party, why would I be doing the party handbook in my bag? So you are guided by the party constitution as long as you're a member of the party. You are a freedom of association. You can join any party you want. But the minute you leave the party, all these things we are discussing is muted. It doesn't apply to you.
But that's what I'm asking. Is it practical that there will be a patriot who will be taken by another political party to be its flag bearer without he forfeiting that right that membership as a patriot?
You cannot do that.
Exactly my point. And so I'm asking why that is even necessary in there.
I'm not saying the party can do that. I'm saying the individual cannot do that.
Right.
It's not the party. No. What I'm saying is that the party is an association. We all came to join the party. The party has its rules. If you, the individual, wants to abide by a different rules, that's, like you said, freedom of association. You leave and join something else so that the party rules do not apply to you. I don't see how that's difficult.
Okay, so this is my last attempt at this question, and we'll move on to other things. So clearly, we are on the same page here, and that's why I'm asking if it was even necessary at all to include that if the person wanted to be flag bearer or parliamentary candidate or flag bearer candidate on the ticket of another party, the NPP will restrain them. In your own words, you can't be a patriot and stand as a presidential candidate or parliamentary candidate of another party. So why include that there?
Okay, so that tells you the love. That tells you the love the party has for its members. The party has the love for the members that they will restrain you from leaving, because we don't want to lose the best brains. Kwadwo Poku is the best brain in the country in energy. Kwadwo Poku is probably one of the youngest people who's very vibrant on your show. The party will not want to lose me because I'm a very I'm wet to them. So the party.
But can the party restrain?
Let me land. The party will make an effort. It doesn't like the party doesn't care. That point is to tell you that the party will make an effort to restrain you. But the end decision is with the individual. But it tells you that the party is not forcing anybody out. It is making an effort to keep its members. Because it's not easy to go out there. We keep spending money to do outreach, to bring more people into the party. So we cannot just be pushing people out nilly and willy.
Right.
Okay? So that point is to say that the party will make all the effort to restrain you. But the final decision is with an individual.
Well, I wonder how that is when we just heard from the Director of Elections and Research who said restraining could mean taking you to court or seeking legal redress on the matter. But he's joined on the line again. Thank you so much, Mr. Nimako, for reconnecting. So I was just asking Mr. Kwadwo Poku about the bit on the party restraining a parliamentary candidate or presidential aspirant who lost from contesting on the ticket of another party. If somebody is contesting on the ticket of another party, they won't still be a member of your party. So why do you include that to say that you restrain them if they make a decision to do so?
Thank you. But I think both Dr. Amachi and Mr. Kwadwo Poku have hit the nail right on the head. This is a political party. And we are also informed by other developments in other jurisdictions. If you take the case of Nigeria, individuals easily move from one party to the other in the midst of the conduct of elections. And so the New Patriotic Party is guided by some of these developments. But my sister, when we get to that bridge, the party will cross. We have strong confidence in our presidential hopeful that they will not be tempted, having gone through this exercise, to either decide to form their own political party or be on the ticket of other political parties. They were not coerced to participate in this exercise. In fact, they are in constant engagement with the party that they want to come on board and lead the party to win elections 2024. And so that is the focus. There have been lots of refreshing issues to be discussed in all this process. From the period the party opened the nomination, conducted the vetting, submitted a report to National Council, directive from National Council, and just yesterday, the conduct of the ballot and engagement with the youth tells you that the party is on the move to conduct a very fair, free, transparent primaries that will elect for us our presidential candidate. That is the focus. The issue of the undertaking is just to remind our members, our candidates, that they should be mindful of the party's position. And as Kwadwo Poku keeps on telling you, if you are a blue party person, you restrict yourself to comply with the directive. And in other associations, you may even disagree, but disagreement will not mean you walk away. If you want the interest of your party to survive, at all times, you respect the rules of engagement put together by the party. So at this stage, all that I want to put across, that the party is minded of certain developments. And if we are identified, we put in place mechanisms that will help the party address them. We appreciate the extent to which these individuals have been conducting their campaigns, and where the party have had issues, the party had to issue communique, circular, to remind party members of the cardinal need to have our party cohesion well put together. And so that is the focus, and I can assure you that at the end of this exercise, 26th of August, November 4, 2023, the New Patriotic Party will come out with the presidential candidate who will lead the party to win elections 2024.
Thank you for your time, Evans Nimako, Director of Research and Elections of the NPP. Let me just wrap up with Mr. Kwadwo Poku and Dr. Amachi Boateng. Let me start with you, Doc. The party is, as we've been told, on course to selecting a flag bearer aspirant. We know that it's quite a large number in there. and delegates will make their decision on the August 26th and then later in November. How do you think the delegates must conduct themselves? So what should they be looking out for in making a decision on who the flag bearer of the NPP should be, seeing that they want to break the 8? Who is the best bet for the candidates? In a minute, please.
How should the delegates conduct themselves? They should do what is done to produce what political parties desire to get. Political parties, generally speaking, would like to be in government. When they are in opposition, they are out of business. The delegates, I expect them to be rational, to go in for the candidate they believe can break the 8.
Thank you for...
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Let me leave it there.
Right. Thank you for your time. And let me just wrap up with you, Mr. Kwadwo Poku, who is on the ballot. What does the future look like for you? You've told us you'll be going to some other places, but generally, what does the future look like for you?
Well, the future is brilliant. The future is beautiful. I can't ask for more than it is now. I mean, it's a new day. I'm on the ballot. And I think my pastor called me and said that, look, Kwadwo, the number 4 that you have is the divine number, because for God so loved NPP, he has given his beloved son KMP to basically break the 8 for the party. So I think, look, being at that number 4 means that we have good things happening in the country and in the party.
It's interesting that we still have interesting interpretations to the ballot numbers that we pick. I've seen Honorable Adainimo have CR7, that's Ronaldo. It's interesting. I'm just waiting to see what the others will come up with. But thank you so much for your time.
There's quite a lot. Maybe you've not been on social media, but everybody has. It's a fun game. And these are the things that rejuvenate the base of the party, because everybody has their supporter and everybody's playing around with numbers. And look, it's fun games. At the end of the day, the message is important, and some of us have the right message. And I think that at the end of the day, everybody, when they are going through the minute because look, anytime you're given a ballot, your eyes directly goes to the middle of the ballot and it goes to number 4. And I think that's the most important thing.
Right. Thank you for your time. Enjoy the rest of your day. That's Kwadwo Poku, who is number 4 on the NPP's ballot, hoping to be the party's presidential candidate. This is the AM show. Up next, we engage the chief executive of the Youth Employment Agency. Benjamin Akapo will be sitting with Kofi Ejapong.
Hello there. It's another opportunity to get into the corridors of power. And today we're going to be having an interaction with, yes, a young man too, heading an agency that works for young people. My name is Benjamin Akapo. This is the AM show. Now, he has been at post for close to a year now. It's just a few weeks away, and then he would have been at post for a year. He's a bit of a journalist, if you like. He calls himself a veteran journalist, though I have issues with that. But without further ado, let me introduce our guest for today. He's the person of Mr. Kofi Ejapong. And guess what? He is CEO of the Youth Employment Agency. He joins us for a conversation. Mr. Ejapong, this one, air handshake. Atubam. Thanks for allowing us to get into your space today.
Thank you. You said corridors of power?
And I said, you're in a day. You're kind of saying corridors of power.
You have the power.
The fourth estate. We'll get there.
You're very powerful. You know that.
Oh, definitely.
I have been there before, and I know how powerful you are.
I nearly said something, but I'll leave it for later. But let's just get to know you a bit. I'm sure there are some people out there who don't even know that you're heading this mammoth agency here in terms of the youth. Who is Mr. Kofi Ejapong? Just tell us a little bit about you, and how did you make that segue, that transition from journalism into this space, heading the YEA?
Thank you very much, my brother. Who is Kofi Ejapong? Kofi Ejapong is right. in front of you. I started as a journalist, worked for the Accra Daily Mail. I also did some international jobs for the West African Democracy Radio, and I also wrote for the Dom Ballon magazine, and also during I think the first World Cup Ghana participated. I also was a writer for the Guardian newspaper. So I've been doing journalism. I did journalism for closely 9 to 10 years.
Okay, 9 to 10 years. And already you seem to be hanging your boots.
I still...
So once
on WordPress. I see. I sometimes love to put my thoughts on paper. It's exciting, and you can't leave writing.
That's an interesting bit. He's a trained journalist, and of course now he has transitioned. You've moved on. You've also been a deputy communications
yes.
officer.
Yes,
with the NPP. In fact, your profile states that you were the longest-serving deputy communications officer.
I think from 2009, I joined the communication team of the party. 2009 till I moved to the presidency, 2021.
What was that experience like, especially coming from your background?
You know, it's challenging. Journalism, you have so much power. Like you sit down, you can ask me any question you think you need answers to, and I just have to provide it for our viewers, our listeners, the Ghanaian populace. And it's journalism, I mean, it's like you are the God on earth.
Hey.
Oh, yes. I mean, when I used to write
Maybe it depends on the country.
No.
Because there's this popular saying,
yes,
freedom of speech is guaranteed, but in some places, freedom after speech is what is not guaranteed.
I'm telling you, Ghanaians, I mean, journalism, I've been in before. We write whatever we want to write and we go scot-free.
I see.
I mean, we add sensationalism to everything that we write. I wrote for Accra Daily Mail for years. I know. I've studied the media landscape for years.
Were you sensationalizing too?
I'm telling you, because we have to sell our stories.
Okay.
Now adverts are not coming. So you have to sell your stories, and the headlines will sell the stories for you. You know it better than I do.
Well, I mean, with the print media, it's another ball game. Sometimes it's trickier on television. You know, for us, the English language stations, it's quite a tightrope we have to walk.
It's the same, my brother.
It's quite a tightrope we have to walk.
It's the same. I mean, and it's good that we are enjoying this space. I mean, journalists in the country, the press freedom is amazing. One thing I loved about the media is no court of competent jurisdiction can force you to reveal your source. You understand? So, I mean,
even if your source has led you to some $1 million that have been stolen.
But I think that is an exciting profession. You have so much power, and the country also gives you that extra leverage to do what you want. I think the media in Ghana the landscape is good. It's free. I mean, as compared to what we read from other countries, I think Ghanaian journalists are comfortable.
Why do you think then, I mean, I'm just going a bit on the general before we narrow in on the YEA and what you do here. Why do you think then that our ratings have been falling over time? The Global Peace Index, when it comes to journalism and the practice of it and all of that. Why do you feel our ranking keeps plummeting in that regard?
Well, I don't believe in that. I think that is the sensationalism that we add to the things we say or report in this country.
What happened to Ahmed Hussein Swale was not sensational. Till now, we've not resolved the matter.
No. I'm not going to that. And I think it's something that I wouldn't even like to talk about it because it's shameful and very sad. I mean, it's a family man. It can happen to everyone. But we shouldn't also make it look like journalists are under threat in this country. No. Yes, we have few isolated cases. I mean, which I will not sit here to defend. But we shouldn't also create this whole atmosphere of Oswald M. Charlie's Nightfall in Soweto.
I see. So for you, it is the sensationalism, people going over the top and creating a certain narrative. That is what is making our rankings plummet.
Yes, I think so.
Okay. I'll come back to other current affairs related matters, but let's talk about your mandate at the Youth Employment Agency. You've been here for close to a year. That's a long time. First off, what is the mandate of the YEA? And within this year, what would you say are some of the stark challenges you've had to face? And again, some of the positives on the back of this near 366-day cycle you've had.
Okay, thank you. The mandate of the Youth Employment Agency is simple: to create jobs.
Right.
Facilitate, coordinate, supervise the creation of jobs. So everything about the Youth Employment Agency has to do with job creation.
Primarily for the youth, right?
Yes, for the youth.
I think your website says 15 to 35
yes,
or something.
for the youth. So that is what we've been doing. For let's say, for the past 1 year, I would say that's 1 year. It's been, I mean, the challenging aspect is the unemployment in the country. I can give you statistics. I mean, we started with 15,000 community police assistants. We did 6,000 community health assistants. We've done 1,500 prison assistants. We've had collaborations with the private sector, other private entities, institutions. But I tell you, my brother, when we open our portal, the number of young people who apply for our programs is alarming. That is a challenge.
Of course, that itself
yes, that is the
paints a certain picture,
yes,
right?
Yes, it paints a certain picture, and to me, is a challenge here at the Youth Employment Agency. You open the portal to recruit 15,000 community police assistants, and you get over 90,000 applicants. I mean,
wow, that's an excess of about 75,000.
Yes, it's challenging. It's quite challenging.
How then are you able to sift through and, I mean, in these drives, for example, like you mentioned, so 15,000 community police or protection, community protection assistants, the CPAs,
yes,
for example. If you try to recruit 15,000 and you get 90,000, how are you able to, what metrics do you use, for example? Because this is where, out there, in the court of public opinion, they see, oh, a party for.
There's no party.
I mean, or party card, or say, and then a card-bearing member gets
it. It's the same
what are the
thing.
dynamics?
It's the same thing. This is the LIA of the Youth Employment Agency. It gives you the steps to take when it comes to recruitment. First, you publish it. After, you should make sure that it's district-based. I mean, gender balance and others. We take all these things into consideration. So it's not that you don't apply and you can be, no. Auditors can pick you up because this is what the LI says and it's there.
Okay,
we open
again,
it and people apply online.
That's fine. But to take it a step further, it could be a party person. The person does apply. I mean, at least apply, show face. They go through the internet processes and all of that. Do you have a quota system where at some point maybe there's an application and all of that, but the party requires a certain quotient or something?
No,
is that something?
No, my brother, no. I mean, you see, let me tell you something. All employment knows no barrier. True. It doesn't know a political party. It doesn't know NPP, NDC, CPP. I tell you, we try to politicize everything in this country. When somebody is unemployed and he takes a gun and comes to you, the person doesn't care whether you are NPP or NDC.
True.
The person wants to get something to eat. And that is why we are here. We make sure that there's regional balance, there's district balance, gender, and make sure that the right selection process is adhered to. This is what we do here. And for the past almost a year now, we've been doing for all our models. You can contact the private entities or institutions we have collaborations with. They will tell you this is the same thing we tell them.
And it's refreshing to hear that that is the case. Some of the questions I am posing are just to reflect public sentiment and what
I
I
agree.
think is from outside about what you do internally.
It's a government
it is also
agency.
an opportunity for you to tell the masses.
I get you.
So you're telling me the entire process is that transparent, like you were making mention of. So you take cognizance of regional balance, gender balance, district balance.
Yes.
So walk us through a bit of the process that an applicant would go through online. And of course, the more you take away the human interface, the more transparent it is. So walk us through what the process is.
So you go online, you put your name there, the district you are coming from or the district you are in, the region, your age, and the qualification, maybe SHS or maybe university, you put it there, and the model you are applying to. That's all. Yes, you don't pay a dime. Everything about YA application is free. And the interesting thing is, after you've gone through the process and you've been selected, the training you get is free. The accommodation, food, everything is free.
I see.
Yes.
That's an interesting dynamic. Within this period, this last year, we'll get into the numbers and how many people you've been able to actually train. But let's stay right there. How many people, how many young people between 15 and 35 have passed through, and what are the modules? What are some of the modules they've been, activated in?
I think for the first quarter of this year, we exceeded our targets. Every year we send our plans to Parliament for approval.
Right.
We were, I think we wanted to do a little over 70,000.
A little over 70,000?
Yeah, a little over 70,000.
Within which period?
Year.
Within 2023?
Yes, for the whole year. But I think as at May, we had exceeded, we had reached 82,000. That's the audited numbers that we have. And we are talking about the community protection assistance, that's 15,000. Community health assistance, 6,000. Community police assistance, that's 1,500. And we are still continuing our sanitation model, which we have 45,000. And our association or collaboration with other people from the private sector. One thing that I always say, government alone can't employ everyone. So since I got here, we've tried a lot to link up with the private sector. We have a job center here. So we use our job center to link up with the private sector. So we've had collaborations with Ghana, with Lotto Pay, National Insurance Commission. You heard about our cocoa program. That's the cocoa rehabilitation with Afarinek, and a few others. And in all these, the beneficiary is of utmost importance to the Youth Employment Agency. We make sure that the orientation, the training you get, everything is financed by us. We also make sure that if it's a private company, the company pays you nothing less than 800 cedis.
I see. So that's a rather interesting development. So you're trying to tell me that for the entirety of this year, 2023, your projection was to rope in some 70,000.
Yes.
And by May the 5th month, you had roped in 82,000.
Yes.
Which means that even before the half end of the year, you had overshot your target. What then are your ambitions ahead of? I mean, obviously, if you are overperforming, you cannot now rest on your oars and say, oh, we've overshot it, so we're going to just maintain the status quo. What then is the plan for the rest of the year?
We've met with the board and management. We are putting other programs in place. Currently, we are running the apron and textile model. And it's an interesting model, my brother. We are selecting 1,500 people to be trained in the dressmaking, tailoring industry. And apart from that, we are, you know, the small tailors and seamstresses in your area. You know them in your area. We are selecting 500 of them also to give them support, 10,000 cities each. And we will come to the big garments companies, which we are selecting 20, and give between 100 to 200,000 to also support them, for them to train these people for us. One thing that is very critical, if we don't take care, we will lose our artisan industry. You are building, are you building? When I ask you now, you are building. You are using...
I'm renting for now.
Yes. I mean, go all over the country, in towns, new buildings coming up. We have the Togolese taking over. They are doing our POPs for us. They are doing our tiling for us.
Those who are building will quickly tell you that the Togolese are more efficient, more effective,
they are not.
and they are cheaper.
No, they are
I'm
not.
merely telling you the word on the street. That is what you'll be told.
We just have to enhance the skills of the Ghanaian. We can't lose that sector. That is why the YEA is coming in. We are targeting the tailoring or the dressmaking industry. When we finish, we are coming to the tiling, the mason, because we will not lose that sector. This informal sector, you lose it, then it means that your economy will collapse forever.
But our economy is a very informal economy in the first place.
But I am telling you that, but we can't lose that sector.
I'm merely corroborating what you're saying.
Yes,
that
and we can't lose that
the formal sector is actually very small.
After giving those people the skills, the needed skills, then we can talk about how we do away with these Togolese. I tell you, what can they do that the Ghanaian can do?
But you know that trade-wise, and even in terms of the regional balance and seamless weaving through one country to another country. That's why we've even been talking about the ECHO and having a... just in that same manner, I have so many friends, for example, who are working in the likes of Cote d'Ivoire, Burkina Faso, and the rest. So in a way, I understand what you're saying, but if it shouldn't also be we're going to get rid of all these...
No, I am not saying we are going to get rid of them. But we have, when it comes to tiling, we've lost that sector. We have lost that sector. POP, we've lost that sector. But we have Ghanaian masons. We have Ghanaian people who are good when it comes to tiles. Just sharpen their skills. Give them the necessary support. And I tell you, they can do better than
How are you going to deal with the bit about the cost of labor? Because in the end, business people who are putting up high-rise buildings, the ordinary Joe in this economic situation who is putting up his building will look at the cost. And if it's going to cost him half to employ the Togolese versus the Ghanaian, and the deliverables are practically the same, where do you think that person will put his money? So how will you deal with that?
My brother, I tell you, they don't charge less than we think or we speculate. They also charge a lot. And even the Ghanaian pays taxes. The Togolese, he gets the money, goes to Togo.
But if the Togolese earns it in Ghana, the person should pay taxes too.
But the person doesn't pay. I mean, you know, he takes the money, he takes a car to Togo every day. But I tell you, the Ghanaian doesn't charge much like we are told or meant to believe.
Let's focus.
No, I just want you
to go ahead.
Let's support our people. The Youth Employment Agency is taking that initiative. Skills training and acquisition. We are doing the tailors and dressmaking because the Nigerians are also coming in. If we don't take care, they will take that sector. We will not allow it. We are training people to give them not only the skills but the support.
I see.
And after we are going, we will be training tailors, seamstresses, tilers, and those who make the POP. We just have to take it and make it I think there should be a national appeal. Let's use our people. Government is doing massive construction. Let me tell you something. When INZAC, last year when I came, we signed an MOU with INZAC. It's a German company constructing the Tema to Akosombo. They came to YEA.
You mean the road?
Yes.
Right.
They came to YEA and we gave them the laborers and everything. And things are going on well. And we gave them the Ghanaians. These are Ghanaians, not Togolese. But we've not gotten any complaints or anything. Our people are working well. Our people are capable. Let's sharpen their skills. Let's believe in them. Let's give them the support. And I tell you, because it's getting scary, I'm telling you. Now everyone wants to wear kaftan. And the Nigerians are coming in. But if we don't sharpen the skills of our tailors, seamstresses, and all these, they will lose the market.
Well, I love kaftans.
And we will have a lot of people, a lot of unemployed, or a lot of people back on the streets as unemployed.
I'll tell you.
And it causes national security threat.
It is. Unemployment is one of the, if not the biggest
yes.
national security threat we have.
That is where the problem, as a journalist, you should be concerned.
And as a journalist too.
Yes, I am concerned.
You know,
I'm very passionate about it when it comes to unemployment.
In fact,
because I sit here, I see the figures, and I feel sorry. I see the figures, and I think that we have to do more. We have done a little over 80,000 first quarter, but still people are on the streets. It shows that we have to do more, and we have to.
There's a yawning gap you have to fill. I was just going to say that there was a time many years ago when this Nigerian was sewing some of my kaftans for me. Thankfully, well, she's still doing business in Ghana, but of all of those who, you know, sew for me now, they are all Ghanaian. It is not a paucity of the skill in some areas, but sometimes too it is some of the other factors in the economy. But I was just checking out your webpage, and that very bit you're talking about, call for application, garment and apparel training and employment program. You talk about garment and apparel companies, micro and small scale seamstresses and tailors, and beneficiaries. You also say here, for example, beneficiaries must be a Ghanaian youth between the ages of 18 to 35. Basic educational qualification is an advantage. Demonstrable interest in sewing. Desire to pursue a career in mass production. And the deadline is when? 27th June to 10th July. So this is over, right?
And
it's closed for now.
And should I give you the statistics? The number of people.
Please do.
The beneficiaries, I think we had almost 10,000. The big companies, we had 1,500 and something. I think 1,570 or something. The small companies, SMEs, outrageous.
They will always be the largest.
Combined in all the three categories, combined, we had 28,000 applicants.
In all categories?
Yes, in all categories.
Just for this module?
Just for this module.
I see.
How
many are you looking at getting?
Okay, so we are doing a first phase. We want to launch it on the 7th of August in Kumasi. The first phase beneficiaries, we are targeting 1,500. The SMEs, we are targeting 500. Those will give 10,000 cedis each. The beneficiaries will be given to them and the big garment companies to train. We have, we will take care of the beneficiaries as they go on with their training for 1 year. We'll be giving them monthly stipends, and after we will set them up.
How much are the monthly stipends?
It's 500 cedis.
500 cedis?
Yes.
Per person, for example, for these modules, averagely. The training you give them, you say feeding as well, right?
We give them.
Did you add feeding?
For this textile, this model, no feed. But when we camp them, like the community protection assistance,
right?
We camp them, we train them for a certain period before we deploy them to the various police stations. When it comes to the community health, we do the same thing. So when they are camped, we pay for their accommodation, we pay for their feeding and transport also. No matter where you are coming from, all over the country, we just...
Per person, averagely, how much do you spend when you camp them like this, per person?
I have not, but we pay. We pay a lot.
All right. The sanitation module, unfortunately, you will not have Cecilia Abnadapa to work with. because she has resigned. But how much of a contribution would you say the YEA has made? One of the foremost policies that we've had has to do with making Accra the cleanest city in Africa. How much of a contribution would you say the YEA has made in terms of your engagement with the Sanitation Ministry, Ministry for Sanitation and Water Resources?
I think we've not had a better engagement with the Sanitation Ministry. YEA has been running this model for years now. I think it's one model, I admit. There are one or two challenges, but we are making it better. Okay. We are making it better.
Have you sent any YEA trained people there at any point since you've taken over?
We have beneficiaries of 45,000 all over the country.
Okay. Sweeping
the various streets, principal streets, markets. These are YEA beneficiaries. But the only difference from our traditional models that we run ourselves is that we pay.
Okay.
And I'm happy to tell you that in all the models we've run so far, we don't owe anyone.
Congratulations on that, because
yes.
Usually there's a backlog in
but
many areas.
Yes,
right.
we don't owe. Sanitation is paid by our service provider. I mean, to pay finance and government will pay. It has been an arrangement. I mean,
where the service provider is?
Zoom Lion.
Zoom Lion. Okay. All right. Just to accelerate the conversation a bit. In terms of funding and logistics, how are you faring? Anytime I engage a state agency like yours, I want to get into the funding and logistics. Some will tell you, look, we're working with the bare bones and doing so much. What is your situation like? Since you are feeding, you are accommodating, you are doing all of this, how are you doing it? What is your funding for 2023, for example?
We get our money from the talk tax.
Talk tax?
Yes. And
okay.
Yes, that's the main funding for the Youth Employment Agency. But over the years, we've received capping, which my almost 1 year stay here, I can tell you that I wish the capping would stop.
Has the capping affected your work?
Yes, it has affected us.
And how much capping has been happening?
I mean, 30%, 40%.
30%?
Yes, 30%, 40%. I mean, the kind of applications we get, applicants we get, go downstairs to our job center. I mean, serious. I wish that YEA will never be capped. I'm telling you. The agency must run models to keep this country going. We must, you see, when somebody gets out of school, SHS, university, I mean, they need a certain level of comfort before they get into the real job sector or industry. And YEA provides that. Yes, we are being capped yearly. I don't know how much will be capped this time around, but it's really affecting us. The capping is
ahead
affecting.
Of next year? Or
yes, we don't know.
This year?
We don't know, but it's really affecting the Youth Employment Agency. I mean, you look at our models. We pay people 500 cedis every month. Now on our payroll, we have about 25,000. You go to ADB, they will tell you. And we just have to keep paying these people. And if we have the money, we will recruit. If
so
we
25,000 by 500, that's 12.5 million.
Yes, a month.
A month?
Yes.
So let's multiply that by 12, and that will give you 150 million Ghana cedis.
Yes.
So that's what you expect to pay to these 25,000
And you see, these 25,000, these are our traditional model beneficiaries. We are talking about these artisan training. It's not part of this. We are giving 500 companies 10,000 cedis each. The big ones, government companies, we are giving between 100,000 to 200,000 cedis. This is not part of this. So, I mean, YEA, you invest in YEA, you can keep an eye on YEA, you can audit YEA very well because the numbers, the data is there.
Do you feel, I mean, on the back of the numbers, I mean, just this 25,000 people, 500 cedis a month by 12 gives you a whopping 150 million Ghana cedis. Again, I'll go back. What then substantively, what is your budget for this year, for example? How much has come into your kitty. And do you feel hard done by that after all what you're doing, and with, of course, you are overshooting your target, this capping and all of that?
I think I can also, I know we are in difficult times. I think I will not shy away from that.
But the capping didn't start today, so...
yes, but I also think that if we get our priorities right, the Youth Employment Agency, employing the youth of this country should be of utmost importance to everyone. It's not only about the government. Even the private sector, our industries, companies, they have to employ our people. And we have to reach out to them. I wouldn't say I've been hard done by the government, but I think we can do. There's room for improvement.
Room for improvement.
There's room for improvement, and we must improve.
If I had to ask you, I just want you to give me something tangible. It's a bit sketchy for now. If I had to ask you that, look, would you need an extra 50 million Ghana cedis, 100 million Ghana cedis, 200 million Ghana cedis every year? That would also give the powers that be, maybe capping what you get, an idea of how much more is needed. What would you say
every
in this year?
YE sends its budget to our mother
What was your
ministry.
budget for this year? How much were you looking for?
I think 500 million.
About 500 million.
About over 500 million.
How much did you get?
We are still.
You're getting it in. I know usually
No, we get it in bits.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
But there's one thing I should also commend the government. We are getting it in bits, and it's coming. It's flowing.
The bits are coming.
The bits are coming.
What was the last bit?
I think the last bit was in June.
June.
Yes, the last bit.
About
was
how
in
much
June.
are we looking at?
I think it was substantial. Okay. One is that the overall capping for the yearly allocation. I think we should limit the capping.
We should limit the capping.
And free the YE. I tell you,
that's an interesting point. Free the YE.
Free. You know, let the agency employ. Let the agency employ a lot. And these people contribute to the development of this country. I mean, these tilers, the masons, people we want to train, we set them up to become breadwinners and help the economy by paying taxes.
Okay.
Because let me tell you, the 500 small companies, SMEs we are engaging, we are registering all of them. So they add up to the formal sector, because now GRA can go and tax them when they start working.
So you're also contributing to the kitty of the country in terms of revenue. I mean, just this morning we were talking about revenue generation gap compared to our expenses. Now we're looking at 1.8% from the start of the year. But then what has been your collaboration with the CTVET, for example? Because Dr. Fred Cheyasamwa is also doing a fantastic job where he is.
I'm telling you.
How are you collaborating to get the technical skills?
We have an MOU with them. When we have to do any training, they do for us. They prepare the curriculum and all these for us.
Do they conduct all your trainings?
Yes, mostly.
All of them?
Mostly.
Most of them?
Yes.
Okay. Let's now turn our gaze to this. Sometimes you look at these programs, employment programs, and one thing that comes to mind, one problem, sustainability. So, Nation Builders Corps, for example, if you recall, if you asked yourself now where a lot of those who started are, it may be problematic. Sustainability, you give them some skills, you give them some jobs to do, but is this something that can translate long term into a, I don't know whether to say occupation or profession that they can engage in? What is the status quo when it comes to the people you keep rolling out on your fan belt?
I think I will commend my management and board and our sector minister for this. For example, our community health assistance, we are running the exit strategy. This is the exit strategy. We have 6,000 beneficiaries. Anyone interested in moving into the nursing training schools will be given extra training, and the person will be supported to start schooling. Now the person has practical experience, will go into school and get the theory. So that is the exit strategy for our community health assistants.
That's interesting, especially on the back of the fact that
yes,
our nurses are moving
yes,
in droves.
Yes.
Not just nurses, doctors, and in fact, medical people across the terrain. I have friends in there, so I know very well. So I think that's an important.
So as at last week, we had 2,000 of our beneficiaries. That's from the 6,000. They have bought forms and they want to be supported to move into the nursing training schools. So we are facilitating that. When it comes to the prison assistance, before signing the MOU with the Ghana Prison Service, they said, why, if you want us to absorb your people, make sure that those you recruit have artisan skills.
Artisanal skills.
Artisanal skills. So we made sure that it was part of the requirements.
Okay. So that right from the get-go, you would have to qualify before you can be brought on board. And then that would mean you would qualify to roll on. I see.
So that's the exit strategy. I think the biggest one is the Ghana Police.
Okay.
Okay. So our people work with them for 2 years after they are laid off, and it doesn't make sense.
So you're talking about the community protection assistance?
Yeah, the community protection assistance. Right. That doesn't make sense. So we sat down with them. Our people went through the necessary training to be recruited and also deployed by the Ghana Police Service. Now we will give them in-service training. So anytime the Ghana Police Service is doing recruitment, YEA beneficiaries will be given priority because they've stayed with them for 2 years and they've gone through the mill to understand and work closely with the police. So these are the exit strategies we have for our models.
All right.
And it's very important to us. We don't want to do this unemployment in circles. No, we don't want to do that.
It's interesting how you're targeting it.
And we are taking the exit strategy very serious.
Before we get into what other plans you would have for the rest of the year, and also cap off, I did say that we'll go back to some of the social issues to wrap. I've not forgotten. But the 500 CDs you're giving, it's a very positive step. You know, recently the NSS upgraded its bid from a little over 500 CDs to a little over I think 715 CDs, thereabouts. If you do the raw calculations, depending on where someone is coming from, even 700 CDs could be absorbed in transportation alone, not to talk of food and all of that. Are you hoping to do something about the 500 Ghana CDs?
Okay, so last year before I came in, it was 300, 350, and it was increased to 500.
Right. Was it increased right when you came in?
Yes.
After you came in?
Yes, when I came, I increased.
Did you push for that?
Yes, I pushed for the increase of it to 500. I think one thing you should also know, YA models are district-based.
Okay.
We don't send people outside their districts. So it limits transportation and other things. Just to also make sure that they are comfortable, the stipends they receive, they are able to.
But look, on the back of my brother, on the back of inflation and everything.
My brother, I understand
the
you.
The fares and everything.
My brother, I
I'm just asking.
You, but,
so are you pushing for more? Are you pushing for more?
I mean, I tell you, we wish that they could be paid as you are paid at multimedia. But don't you sit in Accra, you think 500 cedis is too small. Go to my village, go to a Francho, Akomada Francho, where I come from. You give somebody 500 cedis.
Because the dynamics will always be different.
That's why I'm telling you that, yes, 500 cedis is much, but we are wishing and we will continue to pray and hope that it is increased, even doubled for them before the year ends.
Okay.
But we shouldn't also have at the back of our mind that we sit in Accra and we think that 500 cedis is just peanuts. No.
So, Chief here is saying that if it could even be increased to 1,000 Ghana cedis, he would be happy. So the powers that be, if you can pull the strings and make it happen.
The good thing is that
he would be happy.
Anytime we are dealing with a private entity or a private company institution, we make sure that they don't pay our beneficiaries as we pay them.
So they pay them more?
Yes, they pay them for
just like with the national service scheme where private entities pay more.
Why, if you are collaborating with us as a private entity, you won't pay our beneficiaries less than 800 cedis.
I see.
Yes.
Okay. then there must be some competition for those also who will get there, which is not a bad thing. What then are your aspirations for the rest of 2023? Already on the front of the numbers, you've gone over 100% more by the half year. What are your expectations for the rest of the year in terms of recruitment, in terms of logistics, in terms of funding, for example? What are you hoping to achieve by end 2023?
I think my expectations are the expectations of the management and board of the Youth Employment Agency. I always say that I am the poster boy, but I'm driven by the team I have.
I see.
They help me, and everything we've achieved so far, getting more than we were expecting. I mean, in numbers wise, recruitment wise, I think that I've had good support, valuable support from management staff and our sector minister. Our expectations are that we will continue to recruit, we will continue to train people, we will continue to give people the needed skills to help this country move forward. This is the agenda of the Youth Employment Agency. Our act enjoins us to create, coordinate, implement, facilitate the creation of jobs for the Ghanaian youth. And this is what we seek to do, and we will do it.
Just for your knowledge, I'm sure you're aware that latest United Nations and also Ghana Statistical Service report showing that if you look at the number of youth who are not in employment, not getting an education, not in training in our country, and you look at the youth balance comparatively, it is stark and it is worrying. You said it, I know it, but you said it. It's a national security concern. I mean, so I can only wish you well on this journey.
I think if there's any other word more than scary, then I will use that word. But it's
frightening.
It's frightening. I think we should be worried. Help the government. Government alone can't employ everyone. Let the private sector also get in. The YEA Job Center seeks to do that. We are reaching out to people. Let's get our people something to do. And it will not only benefit those you call corridors of power, but it will also benefit you. Because when the youth takes a gun, a cutlass and come in, it doesn't matter whether you work for multimedia or you work at YEA.
That is the truth, and that is what we all hope for. Just to cap up the conversation, I'm going to some social issues, and we can call this conversation, we can bring it to a wrap. Two quick issues related to your party. You spoke about how frightening the youth unemployment situation is. Some have also found it frightening. Just this morning, interacting with some people on the AM show, some found it frightening that you would find about, well, millions of CDs in a former minister's house, and to the point where $1 million can go missing without so much recognition until it becomes a huge problem. And they feel that, especially as we are trying to get people back in the financial sector to put their money in the bank, this sends a certain wrong signal, because people now start asking, hey, what do people in government know that we don't, for which reason they don't want to put their money in the bank? There's also the Bugri Nabu leaked tape situation about the IGP, which people are calling for more stern investigations. Two quick matters. What is your take on either one as we
let me tell you.
And I'm asking you because you are a journalist.
Let me tell you, I will not comment on issues before the court of law. I don't want to be cited for contempt.
Which of these are you referencing?
The 1 million issue you just stated is before the court of law. And as a law-abiding citizen, I will not get into this.
The special prosecutor has...
No, I mean the special prosecutor can get his thing, but I know that these issues are in the court of law, and I wouldn't like to comment on it.
I see. But you can confirm that we'll not find $1 million if we...
I don't know. Let the court decide. I respect the laws of this country.
Right.
And I believe that everyone is entitled to seek redress anywhere he or she wants.
I was just saying,
let the court deal with this. I will not answer that question. Any decision by the court will be respected by me.
That is fair, but I'm just saying that in support of our financial system, we wouldn't find $1 million in your home if we came there, would we?
My brother, these are court issues. I'm
not talking about Cecilia Dapa, I'm talking about you.
You are talking about
you.
Me?
Yes.
The question again?
Would we find $1 million at your home if we came round?
I don't have 1 million.
That's all I needed. Okay. And on the Bugri Nabu
No. I mean, you preempted your question with Cecilia Dapa's own, which I think is a legal.
No, that was what I was referencing.
It's a legal issue. It's a legal issue. Okay. So I want to leave it as such. But
the IGP and the leaked tape.
You can't find 1 million in my room. I wish.
Thankfully. The leaked tape, IGP.
What leaked tape?
The IGP situation. Do you remember that?
Has it been confirmed?
It has. Bugri Nabu has
confirmed.
Yes, he has.
That he said those things.
That those things happened.
There are laws in this country. Let the laws deal with it. I mean, seriously.
And that's the whole point, because people are saying the law is basically being toothless with this situation because
my brother,
maybe it leans in a certain direction.
You defame me. You defame me when I send you to the court. Do you know how long it takes? But you as a journalist, you are happy because it drags for a long time before I can clear my name.
Well, from where I sit, we don't defame.
No, but I am just saying it. I have been in your shoes before. We shouldn't.
I know that is a generic statement.
No, we shouldn't pretend that this holier than our attitude. No. Let's respect the laws of this country. If Bugri Nabu has committed any crime, let the Lord deal with him. For me, I believe in that. Nobody is above the law, and the president has shown it. All government officials have shown it. Special prosecutor must do his work.
All right.
The laws must work. And in the long run, you journalists, you can't say that this thing is dragging. When you defame people, do you know how long it takes for the court to clear the person? And do you know the damage you would have caused?
All those damages, interestingly, are taken into context. As a student of the law, I'm fully aware of that. But thank you very much for joining us for this conversation. He is Chief Executive Officer of the Youth Employment Agency, and in fact, quite a bit of work he's doing here. He's in the person of Mr. Kofi Ban Ejapon. Mr. Ejapon, we started off with a handshake. All right. Thank you for hosting us, and we wish you the very best. Maybe when I come back here at the close of year or at the start of another year, God willing, you remain at post, we would have better to talk about in terms of the numbers you are putting up.
I mean, and I'm excited to have you here and also your team. I say thank you. We just have to sell the good news. It's not always about the bad news. We are doing a lot, giving people jobs, giving people food to eat. And it's the most exciting news I think that the media should be proud of.
And it's so exciting that we came here today.
But I think that you've done well, and I appreciate Multimedia for this wonderful gesture to help the YA sell our news. It's not only about the YA, but it's giving hope to people that there's a state agency like the Youth Employment Agency that is ready or that is reaching out to them. It may not be their turn today, but tomorrow it will be in their turn. And now we are doing marvelous. We are increasing our numbers. I tell you, by the end of this year, we will add up. We will set an unprecedented record. And I always tell you, the data is there for us to, look at it. You go to our bankers, ADB, they will tell you the number of people we pay every month. We don't owe beneficiaries. The world is in crisis. Economies are collapsing. Look at what is happening to the UK. Yes, you tell me that people are rushing to the UK, but I can also tell you that the UK is in crisis. US is in crisis, but if the government can support them, support YA to provide jobs for our people in an unprecedented manner, like the YA, the Youth Employment Agency is doing, my brother, we are blessed.
I think the way we've ended the conversation only tells me that we have to have a second conversation, maybe sometime down the road in this year. But it's been exciting, and for you out there doing the watching, we're grateful grateful that you've taken the time to join us. Thank you.
Thank you so much for staying here on the AM show. It's now time to let you in on a very important dialogue happening later today at 11 a.m. at the University of Professional Studies here in Accra. And it's the Currency Development Dialogue Series. It's the first of its kind. And once again, I have been joined by Dr. Eric Boachi-Adam, who is a senior lecturer at the Faculty of Accounting and Finance at the university. To my immediate left, and my far left, Professor Isaac Boidi. He's the Dean of the Faculty of Accounting and Finance at UPSA. Welcome, Doc and Prof. It's good to have you here again.
Thank you. Good to see you, Bernice.
Right. All right. So, I mean, we've had this conversation, but for the benefit of those who are not aware of what currency development is, Prof, just run us through the entire concept and why it's important that we even begin to have such conversations.
Yes, thank you very much, and good morning to your viewers. We're here last, I think 2 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
And, we had to break the concept down. Today we have to do that.
Right.
So there are a few things that we are going to consider this morning at 11 o'clock at UPSA campus. It's a currency development dialogue series. What is it about? The idea is to explore the geopolitics of dollarization impact on a common African currency. There are two ways that we need to break it down. Geopolitics, we're looking at political international relationships that are influenced by some factors. And then de-dollarization is about trading less of a dollar. That's all the discussion about. In 2007, we had a world financial crisis. And a quick response to that, 5 countries came together in Russia to have a common economic partnership, not a political partnership. After the formation, several meetings have been held. And there's a one coming in August this year in South Africa, where there's going to be introduction of a new currency. That will just key discussions. There will be other things, but the idea is to have a dollar-backed digital currency that will be introduced for trading. And our dialogue today will seek to stimulate discussions around economic and political areas. That's what we are going to discuss, and its impact on our common currency as in Africa.
Right. So these countries that you refer to, the BRICS, right?
Yes.
Is what you refer to, all right. But here in our sub-region, Doc, we know that we have made attempts at having a regional currency. I don't know how long it will take us to get there, but briefly share with us how we can learn from this example, the lessons from the BRICS, and why it's important that we begin to consider, a common currency for the sub-region.
Thank you, Bernice.
Consider its implementation, rather, because we have already considered it. So the effective implementation of it is what I'm talking about.
So within the African context, if we have to come out with a common currency, we have to learn from previous currencies that have been developed. We have the EU. That is the euro. Then BRICS is coming up. So what is the trajectory? What path does it follow? If, like Prof rightly mentioned, when they came together in 2009 and later South Africa joined in 2010, they've taken their time to bury their differences. If we look at the politics between China and India, they have differences. They have border dispute, differences in governance, differences in ideologies and trade and everything. But because of their common aim, they bury that differences. And that is what Africa has not been able to do. Whether we should go with the Francophone, whether we should look at the Anglophone, so the politics of it, we should come to the point where we bury the differences of it. And secondly, the BRICS nations are building a financial institutions. For example, they have the new development bank. that is almost working like the World Bank. Within that new development bank, they have been able to sponsor about 30 billion projects, and they are also trying to consolidate countries. And as we speak now, there are about 14 nations that have applied to be part of the BRICS. So probably we'll be having BRICS Plus to cater for the other nations that are coming on. So it's a gradual process, and they are building the systems to capture it. And that's what Africa is failing to do. That we started the discussion of an ECO several years before this BRICS. We don't have the political will. We are not burying our differences to bring every country within the African continent together to make sure this works. So until then, I think we'll keep talking about ECO, and it will still not see the light of day.
Prof, you used the term de-dollarization. Why is that important? And what are the implications of achieving that?
I indicated that D means that you want to do less of something, and you bring dollar. So you want to trade less, less dependence on a certain currency. And if nations such as nations that control about 26% of trillion of resources, financial resources coming together, it tells you that you're going to have a shift in the global economic dynamics. It will change. So if countries are going to come together to trade on one common currency, the implications for Africa are enormous. We're going to have, it changes our trading pattern. It also changes our reserves, preferences as well. So these are things that we want our listeners to come.
And coming right. But is that the key to our currency gaining grounds? Because as we established when you came the time back, when the dollar goes down, as Doc told us, the trajectory shows over the years, another will rise to take its place. Doesn't that bring us to the same point then?
Well, I don't know what
All right, Doc.
but I think it gave us a trend.
Yeah.
Starting from Spanish real, it moved all the way to the Dutch guilder, then to the British pound, and then all the way after the Second World War, dollar took over. Yes, if anything to go by, then it's a time for another currency to be used.
But my question is, doesn't it bring us to the same point where we'll still have to trade in that currency? That currency will gain dominance, and then we are back to square one, not having enough reserves to meet the demands on the market. Can't the playing field be such that we don't have one dominant currency over a particular country, say the yuan, for example, the Chinese yuan, for example? Is it possible that we can get to the point where we trade in currencies and not just one, given such dominance to one particular country? If that is possible, how long will it take us to get there?
How long will be difficult to tell from where I sit. But then we can look at the fundamental that will take us there by looking back to see the future. What is going to get us there is, number one, the share of the economy, global economy that you control, and also the natural resources you control, and how you're able to bargain on the international platform. And if you look at the BRICS, Russia and Brazil control a huge portion of natural resources.
Yeah.
And China also control a huge portion of global output. So they have what it takes. And if we look at the dynamics, the country that is making out the BRICS, they represent about 4 out of the 7 continents. So they want to have a fair representation. But then the question is, will Africa, if the BRICS introduce, are we going to come back to square one, where we have to also build another reserve in BRICS currency? The question is yes. If we don't see the future coming, you'll always be taking, it will always take you by surprise, and you have to flow with the wind. So this discussion aims to make us as an Africans to look forward and prepare towards it, that, hey, even if we sign on to the BRIC currency, and we don't do what we need to do by building our institution, building our industries and factories, we will come back to be a slave to another currency, just like the dollar.
And just like in the UN, where certain countries have better bargaining powers than others, is it the same within the BRICS, or it's an equal playing field for all these 5 countries that are that make up the BRICS?
Yes, I think in so many areas there will be variations. Resources-wise, geographical-wise, space and all that. I think these countries, as indicated, about 40% of the world's population. We indicate that it's going to be a plus, meaning the rest of other continents or countries who are likely to join. And we've been told of other countries preparing to join. It shapes the entire global space, and there's a time that a good model also needs to be replicated. We are championing a common cause, but we have a case study, a test case, and the test case is that there's going to be introduction of a currency. We learn the political will, we learn the institutional powers. We also can look at the economic convergence of how these things are done, and it's a good field for us to learn.
So the BRICS currency will be outlawed this year?
It's part of the discussions in South Africa.
The Russian-Ukraine issue doesn't affect it at all, does it?
Okay.
Because we're talking about geopolitics here, talking about currency.
That's the way, but let me also mention the composition, that for now, each of the 5 countries has 1 vote. So when they were contributing to build the new development bank of the BRICS, each of them contributed an equal amount. So in terms of composition, for now, then whether it will change in the future, each of them has 1 vote. But whether it will be introduced this year or not, when you check Bloomberg, as of last week, the ambassador of South Africa, who is committed to this BRICS, Mr. Neil, mentioned that they don't intend to introduce a common currency now, but rather they will deepen trading in their local currency.
Okay.
So, which is mostly the yuan, and they buy and sell within their local currency instead of going for the yuan. So we are not saying that it will be introduced just this year, but it's a long-term plan that they need to build consensus. They need to get a lot of countries to sign on. They need to build the infrastructure to contain it when it's being introduced. So I should say that we don't see it introduced soon, but eventually something needs to overthrow the dollar.
I know you want to hear a lot more, and that's why you have to make time to join Prof and Doc much later today at 11 a.m. at the UPSA West Wing of the auditorium, right? And the conversation is on currency development. All you need to know about it. It will be a very insightful conversation. Will it be streamed live on your Facebook, UPSA?
Yes, on our other platforms.
All right, here on Joy as well.
Yeah. You want to cover it live.
Yeah.
Before we leave, we want to also thank our sponsors.
Right, please go ahead.
Headline sponsor, Abokobi Rural Bank, and Safety Insurance Brokers Insurance as well, and your good self and your institution as well.
Right. It's a pleasure to have you here. So we'll make a date with you at 11 a.m. at the UPSA West Wing of the auditorium. Who will be speaking?
So we are expecting Professor Vladimir Entry-Danson, who is more of international relations. We are expecting Dr. Na Hassan Dani, formerly of Stanbic. We are expecting a rep from the West African Monetary Institution. And we are expecting Mr. Seth Amwakon from the Financial Intelligence Center, and especially within the space we find ourselves, financial intelligence. So it's going to be a wonderful and insightful discussion.
Yes.
And we're going to have 2 parts. We have the panel presentation, we have the discussion section, and questions and answers, where questions that viewers are unable to ask now, they can ask us through our social media handles, and also physically present, they will have the opportunity to ask their questions.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Prof and Doc, for joining me this morning. To shed more light on the UPSA's Currency Development Dialogue Series, Professor Isaac Boedi is Dean, Faculty of Accounting and Finance at the UPSA, and Dr. Eric Boate-Yadrom is Senior Lecturer, Faculty of Accounting and Finance at the same university. So 11 a.m. is the time you want to stay glued to your TV set for more on that. Well, when I come back, I'll be talking to winner of the maiden edition of Cues and Lyrics, Tragan Tuesday. Thank you. So I had them in the build-up to the finals of the maiden edition of the Cues and Lyrics. They're here with me this morning, and it's just interesting. Who would have thought that I hosted the winner and runner-up of the of the maiden edition of Cues and Lyrics? At the time, you were confident you were going to win. You were also confident you were going to win. Yeah, but...
Such a turnaround quote.
Yeah. But Tragan did it. And what was the feeling like on the day? You tell me how it felt.
On the stage?
Yeah.
I felt really grateful. I felt like, wow, I spoke to my friend about this from the beginning of the year, and I'm going to put myself out there. I prayed about it once or twice, and I'm here. And I won the maiden edition of a reality show. Okay, Lord Jesus. Okay, Holy Spirit. Okay, Jesus, I see you, God.
I like that. So you did an original, right?
Yes.
All right, because I had the judges commending you.
Yes.
Very highly.
Yeah, he's original.
He you did an original here, but that's not what you did on the day, right?
Yeah.
Where's your guitar?
It's actually...
But why would you come in here without your guitar? Please, can someone pass his guitar?
Needs to be correct.
It's unacceptable.
Yes.
It's unacceptable.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So while we get your guitar for me to hear the song that you did, Tragan. I mean, so what? You've got an all-expenses paid trip to Dubai. Are you going to carry him along? That's how
I will
your luggage.
try. I'm not about to buy my luggage, so I'll try. I'll be...
Okay. I'll just turn into a small... then enter inside.
Portable
TM. Portable TM and then enter inside the bag.
Okay, so, I mean, guys, on a more serious note, the future is what we look forward to. When I hosted you here, I asked you what the future looked like for you, and you had very beautiful images. Tragan, you have a title now that puts more responsibility on you, puts more pressure on you. People will be looking out for you. But you have a record deal now.
Yes.
So what are we expecting? When are we expecting your single? And would it be what you performed, or are you going to do some work around it? Just tell us exactly what the plan is.
The record deal, hopefully everything falls in place and equally, so much so that I'm able to get out 2 songs. For me personally, my goal is to at least get 5 songs on my own. Then when everything falls in place very perfectly and squarely with the record label that I'll be working with, I probably would have 3 out of the 5 or 2 out of them or even all of them out before the end of the year,
Hopefully. And what about you, TM?
Oh, for me, my song is actually coming out this coming Friday.
Next week.
Next week.
Oh,
Friday.
wow.
Yeah, on the 4th of August. And on the 4th of August is also the Founders Day. Freedom is about founders, leaders
in
who fought for us.
Across Africa.
Across Africa. So I'll be releasing...
A music video? Or
I'll be releasing the audio first.
Okay.
Yeah, then the video comes maybe 3 weeks or a month later.
All right, that's nice. I'm still waiting for the guitar. Where did you leave your guitar?
It's just out here.
Because we have to do something before you guys go. Okay, so we're bringing the guitar. That's a good one. But
I'll do the
what was it like on the night? What was it like on the night?
It was, for me, I saw support. Like my friends, my designers, my mother, my auntie, who made this, Auntie Moda, shout out to you. The support, bro. Like, before I went on stage, my best friend, Nakinati, was just holding my hand. And I was just trying to, like, put my psyche in a really positive shape, saying, I own the stage, I can do this, you're not going to forget your lyrics. Like, I was just putting my mind there. And then I look at her, and she's holding my hand and she's praying. I didn't know she was praying.
Right.
But she was praying, and, like, she was just praying. You could see that she was praying for another sister, and I was like, oh, God, this is really good.
All right, so is that your mom?
Yes, my mother was sitting right beside my dad.
Oh, okay.
In the middle.
All right. I mean, so this is your song?
Yeah, no, this is Asha.
Ah.
Hi, Asha.
Okay, that's the final. Yeah, Be My Man. Okay. Yes. Right. That was a good-looking costume there.
Jesse Jackson.
Okay.
That's my designer.
All right. Okay. Oh wow. Okay. Can we hear a bit of that, please, before I get them to do something really short live?
And all the ones that make me mad,
yourself.
It's like, if you saw me when I was a child, and you saw me now, you'd be like, nah. This is so beautiful, it grows. Because this is me when I was a kid. Like, when Cinderella comes on, Sleeping Beauty comes on, High School Musical, whatever, I'm getting
everything
home. I'm performing my favorite part.
Okay, that's nice. That's nice. People don't usually like to watch themselves perform, but when I see you with that smile, I see that you like what you did.
I do.
And TM, so you're going to give us a dose of your song that's going to be released next week, Friday, August 4. And TM was runner-up to Tragan.
All right.
Woo-hoo.
Have you heard the song though?
Yes.
Okay.
Attaining a new level, freedom, the Lord of healing, realizing how seeking change that we were. Internally we were bleeding, casting the lies that suffer peace, aiming for all of our rights we may have sold. The likes of Jomo Kenyatta, Mandela didn't told. In the of Nigeria, let's not forget Kwame Nkrumah. The likes of Jomo Kenyatta, Mandela didn't told. In the of Nigeria, let's not forget Kwame Nkrumah. Shout freedom, say freedom, freedom. Let's not forget Kwame Nkrumah. Say freedom, oh freedom, freedom. Let's not forget Kwame Nkrumah. Fight for peace, lonely seasons, cold wars, sorrowful days that we felt may not pass, may not pass.
All right, so you keep playing in the background. Have you guys thought of a collaboration?
Yes, we spoke about it. Is it a week before?
Yeah.
Oh, don't stop playing.
The same day.
The same day.
The finals.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I see a certain vibe. The two of you should do something.
Yes, we will.
So, ladies and gentlemen, winner of our maiden edition of Cues and Lyrics, Tragan, and first runner-up TM Music. The fantastic job these young ones have done. Please go out and support them on all the social media platforms. Tragan and TM Music. Right, that'll be it for this edition, but we leave you in the capable hands of TM Music and Tragan as they sing Freedom, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Freedom, oh freedom, freedom. Let's not forget Kwame Nkrumah. Say freedom, oh freedom. Let's not forget Kwame Nkrumah.
Nice one, guys.